Twitter because I just got my notification for Twitter.
Well, I'm also pushing it to our Louisiana Watch Facebook page and YouTube page. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Yeah, for those of you in Halton, it's X, not Twitter. X.
X, X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. Kind of like, Prince, the symbol formerly, artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot like that. Hey, we dug some prints out in Halton. I'm going to tell you. I mean, all you city folks, y'all thought bad of us and all, but we was into some prints. We
Hey,
were.
look, I respect Prince as an artist. I was all about Prince as well. Purple Rain, baby.
See, my parents wouldn't let me get that album. They was like, "Oh, that is just bad." They
Yeah.
protected me, but
Now, look, I got to tell you, I'm surprised we've already got 34 people that have tuned in. I guess I need to get the comments going. And you know why I'm surprised? Do you see my little stick-on thing that I'm sporting there on my
well,
chest?
actually, I do not. I got to adjust my screen here because I can't
Yeah,
see
see?
that. Oh,
Okay.
well, look at
Your
there.
favorite person.
You got a Chris Smith for mayor sticker on there.
Oh, does it say for mayor? No, I need to look and see. I thought
Oh,
I
well,
thought I was going there for the city council, but maybe he's trying to run against Tommy. Tommy was there
you
too.
just well, I guess he's supporting him. You're just supporting people and don't even know what they're running for.
Nah, of course not. I just randomly support people.
Okay, well, I see how this is going to go.
Well, look. The truth is, with the I'll just nicely say, Mr. Smith's lack of judgment a few meetings ago. Other than that, I think he's done really well. So, he deserves a consideration if you get to vote for city council.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, I couldn't oppose Chris. I mean, I may disagree with him on
Yeah.
some things. I don't agree with everybody on anything. I mean, I don't agree with everybody on everything. I disagree with a lot of people on things, and certainly we disagree on issues. Sometimes it's the backside of the story that. The backside of things is what gets you sideways a little bit, and definitely on that one.
I'd agree. Well, and I have to say, I went by Silver Star for a few minutes and got to see Mayor Tommy Chandler was there. He said hello, shook my hand, thanked us for, you know, doing the show and the things that we do. Eric Faulting was there. We gave him a little grief for his comments at the school board meeting not too long ago, and he was there, and of course, nice and cordial as he could
But
be.
yeah, and you know what though, I got to respect that about him because he kind of owned it.
Yeah, he
In the
did.
days afterwards, he actually he said, you know what, I kind of messed up a little bit,
Hey,
and
it's like you said in the Keel interview. You stuck your foot in your mouth before. I know I have. We're all guilty of it, and you're right. He did own it.
yeah, I mean,
So, you know.
look, that's the thing. We all screw up. We all make mistakes, and it's through debate, argument, talking back, well, however you want to call it, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's how we progress.
Yeah. Well,
Bottom
and
line.
look, I was not there but about 15 or 20 minutes, but it was a pretty good showing. Jacobs was there. Charles Jacobs was there. Matt Kay was there. Um, who else was there? Jane Smith was there, so got to chat with her for a few minutes. And anyway, pretty good showing. Just a few minutes I was there.
What about Ryan Haygood? Was he there?
He was not there. He may show up. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't stay but about 15 or 20 minutes. Everybody asked where you were, and I let them know I had you back here slaving away at the keyboard.
Well, I have been slaving away. Now, there's a lot of people may not like what I've been slaving away on, but we're going to definitely get there. We're going to take a walk down memory lane. And, so many people, we hear so many things, especially in Bossier City. And if you're a fireman or a policeman or just a city employee in general, Rex, just tell me this. How many times have you heard that we're not, we made a pact that we're not going to let happen what happened in 2009 happen again. We're
Oh
just
yeah,
not going to do it.
right. Yeah,
Remember,
not
remember
not
that?
gonna do it. Yeah, not gonna do it until the Well, hold your ears, lady. Not going to do it till the nut cutting comes, and then magically it happens again.
It just always seems to happen again. But the thing is a lot of people, and I would contend, not everybody who watches our show, but there's a lot of people, they don't remember 2009. They don't remember a lot of the things that happened back then and what he's talking about, and they don't remember the actual history. Well, you know what the interesting thing is, and you'll appreciate this, and you know this already, but some of the folks watching our show may not. I was there during that. In fact, I was down there on that levee with, I think the number was,
Mm-hmm.
if I remember correctly, with 5 guys for over 48 hours straight, hauling sandbags up and down that levee to protect Carriage Oak, Stockwell, all of y'all from flooding down there. And what I can tell you for a fact, the 5 guys, they were all in training at the fire academy. Those 5 guys that were with me, all of them stayed out there for 48 over it was over 48 hours straight. I know that for a fact because I
Right.
slept on top of a desk, a hard desk, anyway. Um, they were out there knowing they were fixing to be cut and laid off. In fact, they had already had jobs lined up to go to work for Shreveport. And the $1 million question for y'all all is why did all of that happen? You
Hmm.
you hear Councilman Montgomery espouse, oh, we're not going to let that happen again. But why did it happen? Why did it
Well,
happen?
that's a good question, and I suppose we're going to take a trip down memory lane. I've got to say though, just watching last Tuesday's council meeting, I mean, I watched it live. I've gone back and kind of reviewed it a little bit, but I'm not really sure what happened at last Tuesday's council meeting, much less, uh, you know, 2009 and the whole backstory. So maybe we need to have a little lesson, a little trip down
Well,
memory lane.
W I agreed, and what I will say is you wearing that Chris Smith badge on your chest there, I gotta say, he came within an inch of writing his ticket forever to do anything, say anything that he wanted to say or do politically. He came within an inch.
He was
All
very
he had
close,
to all he
very
had to
close.
do, he got right up to the edge. He worked that gavel. All he had to do was call the marshals. That's all he just one little bit.
Oh,
He was right there.
wait a minute. So yeah, that's interesting. And folks, if you don't know what we're talking about, we're going to show you here in a little bit. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. First, I was a little confused why Chris was the acting chairman or president pro tem or whatever the council that day anyway. But you're right. He did. Chris Smith threatened the marshals on one of the other councilmen that day. I wonder which one it
And
could
he
have been.
he was within a hair of pulling the trigger. I mean, and we saw the trigger got pulled on one of our friends regarding whether or not Jeff Darby was wanting to turn Bossier City into a sanctuary city. In my words, Um, I mean, they booted her out a whole lot faster. Chris could have made history had he done it, but he didn't do it.
He was close, but no cigar. Well, all right. So I'm looking here, putting a couple of the comments up. Good evening to everybody, and hello everybody that's watching so far. We've got about 80 something people. Chris Davis says Bubba Don was sick. Well, he was still at the meeting though. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was at that meeting. I don't know. Kind of interesting. We'll take a look at that. And I guess look, we may get deplatformed, but I suppose we do need to, at least for a few minutes when we come out of the break, discuss the Nazi issue.
Yeah, we can go there. I mean, and I think we probably should. There's been, you named the show Escalating Quickly because, I mean, look, things were escalating and it all kind of happened kind of quick. And some people, I don't know. We know sometimes it's in your best interest just to let something lie, leave it alone, and move on. But especially if you're not in media or you don't know or you don't understand. I mean, sometimes you're best just to let something go and don't even address it all. But as humans, it's always our first reaction. I know you. I mean, if you're challenged, you bristle up. Your instinct is to fight, and I'm the
Right.
same way.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's best just to let a sleeping dog lie. And
Well, that sleeping dog didn't lie very long. It took less than 24 hours for lots of things to get put in motion, but we'll discuss that some more after the
yeah.
break. What do you say?
All right, let's go to break. Come back. We would ask everybody to help us get a few more folks to inform them. It's going to be an informative show. We're going to kind of get down in some nitty gritties regarding the city of Bossier that a lot of you may or may not know. Uh, like Rex said, we're going to cover what transpired with the Nazis. I mean, who knew the Nazis are back?
The Nazis are back. All right, here we go. I'm going to hit the button, folks. Y'all know the drill. Make sure and tag some friends in, share it out. We're going to be discussing our thoughts on, that whole situation, like Duke said, and give you where we stand on the freedom of speech and that whole First Amendment or part of the First Amendment thing. So anyway, hitting the countdown button. We will be right back in less than 3 minutes, and we will get started down the rabbit hole.
Knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico and buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS.
We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks.
Through conscious, shocking action, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Yeah, you know what my litmus test for pretty much every politician from dog catcher on up is? I've only said it like 4 million zillion times.
Well, refresh me. I've slept in the last 24 hours.
It's their stance on the Second Amendment. And I don't care who the politician is. Whether it's city councilmen who have no direct bearing on the Second Amendment itself through the U.S. Constitution, dog catcher, or whoever, that's always my litmus test for everybody.
But what if you have a guy? What if you have a guy that supports everything, that you would desire about the Second Amendment, but then he opposes everything else in life that you support? Does that make it okay?
No, that doesn't make it okay. I wouldn't vote for him at all. It's
Okay,
you put the but. It's like you just put the word but in there. It's the conjunction. It's like saying, I support the Second Amendment, but no, you either do or you don't. You're, pardon the phrase again, ladies, you're not almost pregnant, you're either pregnant or not. You either support it or you don't. And Rick Scott, and look, I've griped about Trump, in the past about this. He's not 100% on board with the Second Amendment. Full disclosure, I voted for Trump in 2016, 2020, and just voted for him in 2024, and would vote for him, honestly, probably vote for him again if he ran, which, got us all called Nazis, but we'll get to that. But and I don't know that much about Rick Scott, but I do know that he was in support of red flag laws as governor of Florida. He did sign that legislation. He also signed the legislation to raise the legal age to purchase weapons to 20, or to, actually, I think I'd have to read it. May have been just purchase or own firearms to 21. That I don't support at all. That's a big no-no.
Right, and I agree with you. Those votes, those are the negative ones, or those issues are the negative ones that I have against him. But the people that are being considered, and all of y'all should be paying attention to this, and I'm going to challenge y'all to call your senators, Senator Kennedy, Senator Cassidy, because this is a big decision. Arguably, who becomes the president of the Senate is arguably going to be either we're going to change the way government functions. If you're, I mean, I don't care. We got Democrats on the show, we got Republicans on the show. I mean, and I don't care what your ideology is. If you think our government, our country is heading down the right path and everything is functioning the way that it should be functioning, then you probably don't want anything to change. You want to support John Thune or Cornyn, because those two guys are going to block or try to block anything that Donald Trump seeks to do. So, but if you want to see change and you want to see the government, Donald Trump, I mean, for instance, Donald Trump, Rex, is talking about doing away with income tax. He is saying something that was historical for this country. It used to be that we didn't pay income tax. The revenue that paid and funded for our government was by virtue of tariffs. And Trump is saying, look, it worked in the past. We didn't start going sideways until we changed over from tariffs to income taxes. That was when we went sideways. He's advocating that we do that now. We change over, get rid of the income tax and put tariffs on Mexico, who's sending all their illegals through. Put tariffs on China, to support the government. Thune and Cornyn, they're going to fight that. Rick Scott's going to be on board with that. Now, if Rick Scott gets sideways and starts want to put this red flag stuff there, I'll be the first one in line. You have to beat me to it, trying to cut his legs off from under him. I'm not there.
Yeah, and I want to be crystal clear that my opposition to red flag laws is not that I believe that people who have a true mental issue should not be temporarily restrained from their Second Amendment rights. The problem is always how the red flag laws can and have been weaponized, and I am just staunchly against, raising the legal age to own any firearm in any state to 21. That's just asinine. And again, I'm not saying that he would try those measures in the Senate. I'm just saying that is my litmus test for pretty much everybody.
Yeah, and I don't think he would. And so, like, a lot of folks are commenting, like Ryan Haygood says, Rick Scott is weak sauce. Ryan, I agree. But you have to admit, of the three people, John Thune, Cornyn, and Rick Scott, which of those three? I mean, we're picking the best out of three, pretty weak choices. Nobody's going to get their ideal person. I mean, would you not agree that he's probably the best choice? And Jessica Maddox says, Senator Cassidy not taking calls. Yeah, they haven't been taking calls for about 3 days now. In fact, as I understand it, every senator essentially has their phone lines directed to a voicemail, to which the voicemails are full. And part of that is because they're not wanting to take any more calls. They're wanting to be able to try to deny this vote to the public. They're wanting to have a secret vote to where they don't have to acknowledge who they're going to support or how they're going to vote. I mean, I have been sending them messages demanding that they publicly say who they're going to support, because I want to know if John Kennedy plans to support Cornyn. I want to know how he's going to support. It's not his vote, it's our vote. They freaking work for us, the same as Cassidy. Cassidy, he's going to be challenged. And if he even wants a chance at consideration, I mean, which I got to tell you, it's almost impossible for me to consider him again. But if he
Yeah.
jumped out there and said, "Hey, I'm getting on board with Rick Scott," you know what? He's back in consideration. I'll think about him.
All right. So I've got Colin Rugg's X post pulled up here.
Yeah,
Um,
this kind of transitions us into what I said on Keel when we were talking about this debacle about Nazis.
mhm.
And I found this post, and it kind of leads into that. But before we go 100% in there, what I wanted to say, do y'all know that, you know, this thing with the Senate is pretty important because y'all know Washington D.C. and it's not about Republican and Democrat. Washington D.C., the quote unquote swamp, they're against all of us. They're against the Democrats. They're against the Republicans, Independents. I mean, that they're against all of us. And did you know, Rex, that every president before Donald Trump, they've been allowed to make recess appointments. Trump was the only one that's never been able to really do the recess appointments of his cabinet picks and all of that. And they used a process that was called pro forma sessions, which essentially kept the Senate in session all the time. That prevented Trump from being able to get his appointments through.
Right.
And McConnell was the one that has done that all the time. I mean, he kept the Senate in session like the whole 4 years. This performance thing, he kept the Senate in session for 4 years. Um, you know, of Trump's term or in office, and it's ridiculous.
Hi, I think we forgot to mention one important factor because
Go ahead.
the last show we did was last Monday night when we had Elbert on, and we haven't done a show since then. I guess everybody does know Trump won, handily won. So I just wanted to throw that
Boy,
out
you
there in
would
case you didn't know.
Yeah, you would think, and specifically, I mean, this is Bossier Watch, and the majority of y'all are from Bossier. We got a lot of folks outside of here. I mean, I've seen people from all over the country in the tech stuff. But anyway, 70% I think the number was like 72 or 73% of all the people in Bossier voted for Trump.
Yeah, they did. And look, I want to give a little credit. I'm jumping around just for a second here, because again, we're going to get into the RPEC and the whole Nazi thing here in a little bit and touch on that. But I want to say that we had some folks uh, comment on our post over that situation that were admitted Democrats. And, you know, we got into a little bit of a debate, friendly debate in the comments. And this one lady said, look, she loves the show though. And she wishes she had the time to do what we're doing, but she's a Democrat. And so I just want to say that whether you're, even though we're unabashedly for Trump and Republicans and conservatives and all that good stuff, we try to be fair to everybody. And so even if you're a Democrat, even if you're a flaming liberal, you're welcome to comment on the show or come on the show if you want to. So I just want to throw that
Yeah,
out there.
yeah, absolutely. And I want to debate things, and you know, this Nazi thing. This is kind of one of those things. You know, where people get their media. I mean, I think we all can agree. You know, there's over 100 of y'all. You know, 120, 130 y'all that are coming in here, and you're not coming in here because you like the fact that Rex has a Chris Smith tag on his shirt, or you like the fact that I'm wearing a hat from a business that I love in another state that I haven't been to in years. You're not coming here for that. You're coming here because, or not that we're just these great talk show guys, we're just two regular guys, but we're talking about something of substance that concerns you regarding your local politics and it's a short version to be able to catch you up on things that are going on and to keep you informed.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
we encourage robust commentary, robust debate in the comments. We've always had the rule that we really don't have time to moderate the comments much. I think we've only maybe banned one comment at one time. Our only rule is that if you're going to comment, be a legit profile and all that. Don't be a troll, and be reasonably respectful and civil in the commentary. But other than that, banner back and forth with us all you want.
yeah, and tagging on what you just said, I mean, there's comments that come across in our feed that I don't necessarily agree with. I don't, and I think are a little bit rude. And I mean, I know that if it comes from somebody anonymous, that's one thing. If it comes from the person saying it, if a person with their name and they want to make a charge against somebody and they say something, have at it.
Right.
If you're going to step up to the plate and you're going to say what you believe and own it, that's your right. You're free to say whatever you want, so long as it's not cussing, vulgar, and all that crap. But I think media in a lot of ways, and I don't know, we may have done it. I mean, I'm not going to say that we haven't, and I'm not going to say that we're not guilty of it, of spinning things a little bit or whatever. But I mean,
Oh
I
no.
would like.
Well, we readily admit we spin things and we are completely biased amateur journalists. Let's just lay that out on the table right now.
Well, see, that spin right there, saying the amateur thing, and then people argue with that. But I truly believe, Rex, a lot of people get information still from the mainstream media, and they get information that's not true. It's inaccurate. And I think that leads to some of this Nazi stuff, for as an example. So I did a little searching and I came across a website. And this is a website that I think that we should share to, and I don't care your party affiliation, but if you think all, people that vote for Trump or whatever, if you think they're Nazis because Trump somehow or another supports Nazis or supports racism or support whatever, I'm just wondering. Go to this website. It's called AmericanDebunk.com. And so, any of y'all in the comments, want you to name one of the conspiracy theories about Trump. Name one of them. What's one of the ones that jump out at y'all the most? About that the mainstream media or media in general, or that the negative attacks on Donald Trump. Name one of the ones that most jumps out at y'all in the comments, because essentially all of them is every single one of them, there's a story in here with all of the facts, including the videos, the actual comments, what was said, who said what about his comments, and how they framed it, the media, and it gives all sides of the story for you to make your own informed decision about what was actually said and what wasn't said. Because I think a lot of people are misled, Rex. I think they think he did something or said something that isn't
Well,
actually true.
it's the whole thing about the firing squad with Liz Cheney comments, and I don't want to, rehash the presidential election by any means tonight. But it was completely taken out of context. Whether you support Trump or not, was completely taken out of context. And look, it's one of the reasons that we leave all of our shows posted. Now, we know that when we're live, there are people that could record the show. And so, we have the famous saying, it's live, no takebacks. And so if we say something, that's out of line or misspeak or say something the wrong way, somebody could record that. Well, we have chosen to leave every show, every piece of content we've pushed out there is still on Facebook and or YouTube and or on our website. Every little bit. But the difference is we're we're not professionals at this, therefore amateurs. I mean, we don't do this for a living, but we're more. I've always considered us more of a couple of pundits. Again, we're putting our spin, putting our bias into it, but also trying to put our spin and bias on information that is at least rooted in facts. And we leave it all out there. You want to go back and see what we said on show number 1? You can do it. If you want to scroll back through all 230 some odd videos, go right ahead.
Yeah. So, like, even to this Nazi thing, I look back through our show notes. I was looking back. We said tennis Nazis. We were
Oh,
talking
yes.
about we were talking about the tennis people. We use the term Nazis to describe the tennis Nazis.
Right.
They were driven about what they believed about tennis and that they wanted all this for the tennis thing or whatever. But it
Yeah.
wasn't just, we didn't say they're all Nazis. They're going
Well,
to dig holes and bury people out there after they beat them over the head with rackets like the Germans did in,
we
Europe.
weren't saying it in the
No,
we weren't saying it in the context of they were going to murder 6 million Jewish people. We were saying it in the context of they think that tennis is a superior sport and therefore they
correct.
should get government subsidies or city subsidies, tax dollar subsidies, and all that. We said it in that context. And we've used that phrase, you're right, before. But the key difference is like you said, we weren't accusing those tennis folks of going out and wanting to murder people or strip them of their rights and their dignity as people. And there's a key
Yeah,
difference in that.
there's a big difference. I mean, everyone is fanatical about something. You are fanatical about bass fishing. I'm
Yeah.
fanatical about hunting ducks.
Right.
That's my thing. I am a duck Nazi. You're a bass Nazi. Tennis people or whatever. But when you just say someone is a Nazi because of their ideology, um, politically or what have you, that's a different thing. It's a totally different thing entirely.
Yes. So let's put it this way. At one of I think it was at the chart. Yeah, it was at one of the charter commission meetings. I accused the charter commission members and specifically Lee Jeter. I said, look, the next time you do the pledge, you may as well go ahead and do the Bellamy salute. And you need to look back in the history where the Pledge of Allegiance came from. And the salute, the Bellamy salute, is the, Heil Hitler style salute. That's how we used to salute the flag in this country in the early 1900s. I mean, this is not in dispute. There are plenty of pictures, magazine articles, newspaper articles, that sort of thing. Anyway, and doing that Heil Hitler salute or whatever could be seen as negative, I guess, in some way. But my point of using that was, hey, you guys are, borderline trying to enable socialistic type policies at this charter commission meeting. And
Yeah.
that segues into the next thing. I want everybody to, if you don't or haven't already done it, go look up where the term Nazi originated. It's the National Socialist Party. Nazis get lumped with far right wing ideology, and in some cases, I'm sure that that's true. But by extension, when somebody says far right, then they equate Trump and all Republicans or conservatives as far right. So by extension, we're all Nazis, and that's just simply not true. I have nothing in common with the Nazi party as far as their disdain for Jewish people and all the other horrors of that regime.
Well, in addressing this thing, somebody said, "Oh wow!" They said, the accusation or calling somebody a Nazi, it's the same as the accusing somebody of being a racist. It's worn out, and it's so. You know what? It is. It absolutely. That's
Oh, yeah.
right. It is worn out, and it's been used to death or whatever. But it doesn't change the fact that I got to tell you, personally, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
It pisses me off, for you to do that, as you can't debate on policy. You can't debate on the issues. So you resign yourself to make, racial or racial attacks, or an attack, calling somebody or akinning them to being, like the people who chose to murder millions of people. I mean, that's a whole nother level, and it's a disgusting level. And I,
Well, look,
it's unacceptable and can't be tolerated. And
he,
I've had enough, and I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of other people that have had enough. We have
well,
had enough.
here's what I've had enough of. Look, somebody can call me a Nazi if they want. It doesn't offend me. I really don't get offended very easily at all. It pisses me off because you're a bunch of hypocrites when you do that.
Yes.
That's the problem I have. And as far as this whole thing with the Women's Commission and I'll let you speak more to this, the RPEC issuing the letter condemning them, it's because it wasn't just a passing, oh, they're, Trump voters are a bunch of, Nazi extremists or something like that in passing. There was more to the commentary to that. I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole showing the screenshots and all that. We've got all that posted, links to the original post, all that. Y'all can go click away on all that you want. But the problem is, the way that I saw it was that particular group, or once the RPEC released the statement, then I started digging into it. Well, where have we heard the Bossier Women's Commission before? Where have we heard about them? Oh, at the Charter Commission. Several members
Yeah.
of the charter. And look, I want to say this. I'm not bringing that up to equate to them or to draw that equivalence. We didn't do that. Richard Rae brought that up initially in the Charter Commission meeting with our famous Viva Voce show, where they voted in secret ballot at the Charter Commission open meeting. So it was like, to me, it was like, what the hell are they doing over there at this women's commission thing? What are they teaching women? And now they're the president or chairwoman or whatever of the group is making ridiculous Nazi comments. It just pissed me off personally. And so I chose to go ahead and share all of that out on Bossier Watch itself. Public posts.
Yeah. I mean, look, I went back, somebody brought it to my attention, and I had made some post. I, I don't know. Look, I'm active on political debate on Twitter and all over. I'm always engaged in political stuff. And I'd made I was like, some comment to the effect of, "Oh, I guess you're going to devolve to call us Nazis now," or some comment like that, or whatever. Then for the very next 24 hours later, then I'm getting somebody send me this comment regarding this, and you know, the PEC. There's a lot of members, Republicans, that have finally had enough and said, you know what, we need to take a stand on this. And wearing that hat, I think that it fell on me to say something, and so we put a letter together, we put it out there, and the PEC as a whole took a stand on this. I think the appropriate action was taken by the Women's Commission, but you're right. It begs the question that a lot of these groups, the ideologies that some people have in these groups, because a lot of people were shocked and dismayed by the comments that they read in all of that. And they expressed the view that they had no idea that the people involved had or held the views that they expressed.
Right.
But they had no idea. And to me, I'm not surprised by these views, but what's surprising to me is for people to not know that friends of theirs or people that they know hold these views. And a lot of those people, have been supportive of these ideologies being propped up. I mean, it would be like if I knew that you were a racist, if I knew you hated yellow, black, brown, whatever, anything other than your color, and I supported you to be on some board or commission, I mean, that'd be just wrong, you know.
Yes. Well,
But
and
if
look,
I
we've had the kind of the rule. I was going to say unspoken. It's not unspoken. We've actually said it many times that we're going to call people out and hold them accountable, even if they're friends, even if it's you and I. Just like we had a little bit of banter a few minutes ago about the whole Rick Scott thing, you know. But I do want to give some credit to the Commission for Women, since I was mentioning them. So let me switch screens here real quick. Again, we've already posted this on the Facebook page and all that, but this is their official statement on this whole situation. It says the Commission for Women of Bossier City has been made aware of a comment made by one of our commissioners. The recent statement does not align with the values and principles of our organization in any way. Appropriate action was taken. We are thankful for the continued support of the community as the Commission for Women of Bossier City continues to hold true to the mission and standards of our commitment. So, kudos to them for taking a position and taking some action.
It's the appropriate response, and that's what I said on that Keel interview. You know, that is the appropriate response, and I don't think it's not a criticism that if the people who expressed comments, they are free to express their comments, say what they believe. We do it every week. We, just like you said earlier, we sit here and we say what we think and we say what we believe. And you know what? The consequences of what we say and what we believe, you know, there's almost 150 of y'all watching. If 150 of you disagree with me and hate my guts for a comment that I make, you know what? The consequence of that, I own it. I own it. And I pay for it, Rex. I pay for it in my business.
Sure.
Me and Kara, we suffer with what we do. We suffer as a result of taking a position on what our beliefs are and expressing them and saying them. But what I do detest is when people try to sneak around within organizations and they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to believe one thing and say one thing, but then they also want to slip around and have everybody. No, you know, you be one person. Don't try to be.
Well, and so I want to read this one particular comment because it caught my attention earlier. This was a comment to our post sharing out the Women's Commission's response. Anyway, says women lost big when Trump won. A majority of women did vote for him because they value cheaper gas and groceries over freedoms lost and freedoms on the chopping block. Okay, drama, drama, drama. The woman who resigned should not have resigned. If we can forgive others for hateful remarks, why can't we forgive her? She is not in a position of power. Well, that's not quite exactly true because we have a rule on this show that there has to be some kind of political tie-in. And the Women's Commission, I'll just generally call it that, is a 501c3, I believe, if I remember correctly. And I'm not certain that they receive tax dollars per se from the city or other government entities, but I know for sure that they've had some of their events sponsored by the city of Bossier City, and that's our tax dollars. So, look, I'm not saying Rae should have resigned or not. She's a grown woman. Don't really know her, but she can do whatever she wants. She, I should imagine, in consultation with some of the other members of that commission, decided to resign. That's on her. She didn't back down from her comments, and she does have a First Amendment right to say what she wants. But I want to remind everybody, the First Amendment protects us from oppression by our government, not protects us from the comments and freedoms of speech of other people, as well as private organizations and businesses as well. So you need to keep that in context. Everybody loves to throw around the First Amendment this and the First Amendment that. Look, you don't have a First Amendment right on Facebook. Facebook's a private platform. If they want to ban us for our speech for saying Nazi, I don't know how many times this particular show, we might get cut off. All right, so before I get too far on my soapbox, she made a comment, and being military, I might not agree with what she said, but I will defend with my life, if needed, her right to say it. That I agree, and I think you probably do as well, Duke, agree wholeheartedly with this particular comment. We'll defend Rae's right or the other lady with the original post, their right or their ability to say what they want. But that doesn't mean they're free from our right and our ability to say what we want about what they said.
Yeah, mine and the PEC as a body, it concerned us that this individual would be the head of an organization that is advocating to women, and advocating. And I'm basing off of what I read on the website pertaining to the page, that advocate in schools to women in school and help lead. And you can't. I don't want someone this far. Somebody would say, "Oh, well, you'd probably be okay." And what was that, Giuliani or whatever?
Right.
They say, "Well, you'd probably be okay with somebody on the far right, Christian nationalists advocating for those ideals in that position." Um, you know, but you got a problem with a person this far of an ideology to the left. You got a problem with that. I mean, you're the hypocrite. Well, you know what? Maybe, but our community, over 70% of our community support the ideals of Donald Trump.
Well,
I mean,
and a majority of folks across the country supported at least electing him president. And I would remind everybody that one of the biggest improvements was not just that all us Republicans voted for him, that was a given, but he increased by double digits his support from minorities as well, minorities of all persuasions, black, brown, yellow, pink, purple, and polka dots. So somebody was getting the message. And so I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I did want to spend some time on why we shared that post out and that information as far as Bossier Watch is concerned, because there was an absolute political tie-in to it. A lot of the ladies that are members of that commission are elected officials, work for public bodies and that sort of thing. And again, to their credit, they did take decisive action quickly.
Yeah, Paul Johnson, the radical left, cancel people all the time for speaking their minds in a political context. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That set it on kill. I hate cancel culture as much as the next person. I don't like it at all. But when, again, I'll argue with the best of you on policy. If you want to argue about voting machines, you and I have went at it about voting. You want to argue about voting machines, open source code or not, or mail ballots or not.
Right.
We don't align completely on that, and we're going to debate and we're going to argue that. But if in the debate, when we find that there's no way we're going to agree, and you devolve to calling me a Nazi, I draw the line.
You paper ballot Nazi.
And if I call you a racist, you're against me and my white Anglo-Saxon whatever he said. That's another line.
We're gonna have a problem. I think the difference is, and this kind of ties back into what we were talking about a little while ago. We put out there what we say and do and how we feel about things every single week for 230 plus episodes and shows. Period. Not to mention all the posts that we've done and all the other things. We don't hide from what we're doing. And I've got a rule. I don't put anything on social media I wouldn't go put on a billboard. I just assume if it's going on social media, or if I share it with somebody, even if I share it with somebody, relatively privately, I just assume it's probably going to get screenshot and put on social media. So I don't hide from anything that I say or do. And I know that's one of the reasons you and I have gotten along so well all these years, is because we're both the same way. On that,
Yeah.
we're in 100% agreement.
As a whole, I think society, our world would be better off if everybody, you just, I hate to say it this way, but lived in light. Who you are is who you are. Don't
All right.
try to be somebody that you're not. If you believe this, then you know what? Say it.
Yeah.
And if it's somebody's going to challenge you, yeah, I mean, and if you challenge each other, what is the? I mean, you may not believe in the good Lord above or whatever, but one of our former elected officials like to always say, "Iron sharpens iron." You know what?
It
And
does.
that's true.
It
It
does.
does.
And look, you and I think anybody that, knows us, let's say in real life instead of here in digital life, knows us, we're the same way in person that we are on the show. I say the same things to politicians to their face and in real life that I say here on the show. I mean, I just don't back down from it. There's no use. It's all out there. All right. So anyway, now
Val
that we've
Baker says, "How did y'all meet anyway?" Well, Rex was at one of those solar wind interest meetings, and he was, on the green side trying to
I
promote
was
green
trying
energy
to
and all
trying to
that.
save the eagles and the birds and the
And
spotted owls.
and I was trying to pull him back off the ledge, and I was successful. And here he is now. Just look at him.
We've been friends ever since. Duke showed up in his Greenpeace uniform with tie-dyed shirt and bell bottoms while I was at a save the animals thing, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, look how that worked out. So, where are we going now?
That's a good question. I'm sure some people would say straight to where, but
Yeah.
I
Well,
I
Bosier's
well, I guess we need to do our history lesson and let's talk about the city council meeting because while that might not be as exciting as talking about freedom of speech and Nazis and all that sort of thing, it kind of has a parallel. As a matter of fact, somebody's freedom of speech almost got squashed at the meeting.
or hammered or beat to a pulp with the gavel or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, so you've done most of the notes on this, so I'll kind of course, let you take the lead, and I'll just try to do a little clicking here and there as appropriate. So just kind of take the reins and let's try to lead everybody through this because it's very, very important for y'all to hear this. And we'll try not to drag it out too long, but it's very important.
Yeah, I think the first thing is we should pull up the replay from the last council meeting, and I don't think I have that in the notes.
Okay.
And then we'll take the walk down memory lane, the history lesson after that, and we're going to go back in time and pull up some other council meetings.
Okay. So this is just so everybody knows, this is the city council meeting last Tuesday, election day. And it was actually it was over 2 hours, nearly 3 hours long, I guess. And look, there are some fireworks in here. I got to say, Chris Smith was trying to make up for a few meetings ago where he, kind of made some decisions we didn't, of course, agree with it. But I think he tried to make up for it here at this meeting.
Yeah, Chris Smith was unchained on this meeting, and it's the Chris Smith probably or hopefully that is going to lead Bossier City into the future. We will see, but let's show everybody what we're talking about a little bit. And
Yeah.
right out of the gate, oops, go
Well,
ahead. I got the wrong one pulled up. My
okay,
bad.
and I'm going to put this in live review mode. All right, let's see. So I'm going to go to the 27-minute mark, which is where Hammonds is asking Richard Rae about the bond commission. Is that where you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to hit play. I've got it in live review if you want to come in and hit pause or stop it whenever. But so for full context, again, this is last Tuesday's city council meeting, their election day meeting. And this is Hammond's asking about the bond commission. So here we go.
What is going to be different this time when we send this to the bond commission? I remember watching this live when this was going on, and Dr. Fleming said, do not bring this back to the bond commission until it has been resolved in the court. Am I wrong on that? He wanted to see how this was played out in court, and I know this isn't going to be heard until November the 19th. So I don't really see what the point of us even looking at this right now until this has been resolved in the Court of Appeal.
Well, Councilman Hammonds, to answer your question, I don't think that I didn't take it as a mandate from Dr. Fleming that all litigation had to be resolved at that time.
Shall I pause right there and we pull up what Fleming actually said?
No, I think you just heard what he said. I think it would be pertinent to hear what actually did Fleming say.
Okay, well, here we go. Let's take a listen. So, of course, he had several minutes more than this. We've got all this posted, but here we go.
By the people it affects the most.
Whoop. Let me slow it down to normal speed.
And that's the people of Bossier City. And when they're finished battling this out and coming to a solution, that they present that back to us. There's no emergency. This doesn't have to be done in December. It can be done next year if necessary. But I do think that this is an important issue. It affects the people of Bossier City. I do believe that because people do believe, voters do believe strongly now in term limits, I can see where there would be an overwhelming majority of people who feel like that it's time to implement term limits in Bossier City.
Okay, so there's what Dr. Fleming said. Get it sorted out and then bring it back to us. Now, let's switch back, and I want to point out all the firemen standing there at the meeting. And Mr. Lowry, I see you over there by the man with the hat. Looks like it was pretty full, that meeting.
Yeah, and look, there was just as many popo that were there as well too, because it was all about a bunch of pay for the city, the public safety, long overdue. Anyway, I'll just say that River Wild Reeves, the lies just flow like a river. That's an old saying. I had to take a seat by the man in the hat. That was the secure space to be. Insiders will know exactly what I just said. Outsiders, you think Duke is talking something crazy. I have no idea what he just said. Not even you, Rex. You don't even know.
No, I don't, but I can say at least the Zamboni would be going for him and not you.
Yeah, he doesn't know what I'm talking about either. But, Dr. Fleming basically said, clear up all the, Hammonds was dead on the money. He's like, what he heard and then what, the assistant city attorney is sitting there saying are not the same. The only grace I would give him here is, as Dr. Fleming said, there's nothing pressing right now. We can take this up next year,
Right.
Well,
yeah, what's the hurry?
What's the hurry? Well, this resolution, it will be next year, March. They're trying to rush this thing on the ballot to get it in front of everybody so that you'll vote for it, so that if the people's petition comes out of the Second Circuit, it essentially will have another challenge to it that it's moot because there's a new charter. I've been saying it all along. That's what's going to happen. Richard Ray's not going to say that. He knows it in the back of his head. That's exactly if you asked him, he would say, well, no, my opinion is that it very well could be applicable, but he may say this part, he may not, but I think he might would give you, says, but if someone wants to say that it's moot because there's a new charter, anything can be sued and taken to court. Any challenge can be made. I can't stop that. And you'll have the king and his court right there ready to go. Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. He who speaks out of both sides of his mouth, or with forked tongue. All right. Do we want to finish with the Weasel's comments, or shall we move on to other things in the timeline there?
Yeah, let's move on to the timeline. Let's move to that. I can't remember why I posted 3 years post-COVID revenue overage. Oh, I remember now. So if you're a popo and you're public safety, the king, if I'm remembering correctly here, and all y'all need to pay close attention to the way that he's talking to this little lady standing there at the desk. And, she does the books. She's essentially the bookkeeper there in Bossier. And it gets to a point, and I want y'all to pay attention to her answers and pay attention to her demeanor. Listen closely, and you tell me whether you think she feels uh, like she has no choice, or
Does she feel comfortable with it?
does she feel comfortable? Is she hesitant? Pay attention to that as we go through this part.
All right, here we go.
Roughly $5 million, right, Angela, is what it's going to cost the general fund.
Yeah.
So along in the rationale, because I know that question's coming, after looking post-COVID for the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, because I'm going off memory, that we have increased the general fund balance, which means our revenues over expenditures have run $7 to $8 million a year. Is that correct?
For the past 3 years.
Three. And we're now at over 45, or expect to be over 45 million in the general fund.
Yes, sir.
So the very fact historically that we've proven that revenue has exceeded expenditures by that amount, it makes perfect sense that we can take the $5 million, which is not even near the 7 or 8 million, and use that to return back, because that is the money that all of the employees deserve.
Hold on, I want to stop it there. Yeah, I got to stop that. So let me, and again, I was watching this meeting while it was happening, and I've reviewed it a little bit, and we're reviewing it again tonight, but I'm still not clear on many things, one of which is, if they've had these overages or had this money all this damn time, we've seen Queen Monty himself grandstand about hoorah, hoorah, I support our first responders and I support our firemen, I support our police, except when it comes to giving them pay raises, it's been crickets. Why is that? Can somebody answer that question for me?
If you have proven overages or proven revenues to the tune of, he said, 7 million, I mean, why is it that you had to have a salary study? Why is it that you had to let, the wages and the manpower get low and short? Why did you allow all those things happen if you've had proven revenues? I mean, it's almost as if somebody should go get an accounting degree in governmental affairs or something. I mean, because if you had that, you would have known you had all these extra monies and you could have maintained public service and public safety.
Well,
you wouldn't have gotten into this position.
Here's a little quandary for Queen Monty. You know the difference in ignorance and stupidity? I mean that seriously. So,
well, I'm dying to know.
The simple definition is stupidity. You know about it, you just keep doing it wrongly or incorrectly or whatever. Ignorance is, hey, I just didn't know. So I'll give him a little bit of credit when he called the colonel ignorant. By definition, that means the colonel just didn't know. Now, of course, that's ridiculous because I would say that the colonel has more qualifications than Montgomery, period. But here, he's borderline. Is it ignorance or is it stupidity? Or is it conniving or is it grandstanding, as he and Jacobs like to say?
Well, as we take the walk down memory lane in a little bit, I'm going to show you that it's not ignorance. It's not any of that at all. He knows full well, and he has known. He has known.
Yeah.
Remember, he is the educated one on governmental accounting. He says it himself. He's known. But my question,
are we going to get to see some more grandstanding from past tense Montgomery?
Oh, you better believe it, we are, because I took a walk down memory lane and I went back and I found some of the things. In fact, I think I went back and found the turning point. He made a statement here a while back, and y'all are going to remember this when we were talking about. Yeah, Jeff said, "Oh, you're going to appreciate taking the walk down memory lane." I know that you are, because this will be right up your alley. But y'all remember him saying, talking about Scott's audio and the median and the thing down Benton Road. Who did this?
Oh yeah.
Remember he asked.
Look, it wasn't just him. I mean, Hammond's even chirped in on a little bit about putting the curb or the median out there in the middle of Benton Road about Scott's audio. Remember, he wanted to sue the DOTD. What judge is gonna harm a person's business? Blah blah bluster bluster blah blah blah.
But Hammonds wasn't around. But the King, Bubba Don, Jeffrey, Darby, they were around.
They were around, yeah. Hammonds was not there when all this took place, all this past stuff transpired.
But he asked, how does this happen? How does this happen? Well, right. I mean, I knew the answer. The answer laid at his feet, but being able to prove it that it laid at his feet, I didn't have the proof, but I found the proof. And that's when we take the walk down memory lane. I'm going to be able to show it.
Okay. And so, just tell me when you're ready to do that point, and we'll keep on moving through this. So do we want to continue down this or jump to the next time mark?
Let's keep on this. Let's jump to the next time mark. Let's jump to the 5207 mark. And remember me telling y'all to watch to the hesitancy, because, a lot of people can say a lot of things about, Councilman Montgomery. He is very forceful about what he wants when he wants it. I don't know. I'm just going to say it this way. People say that he's a bully. I agree. I think he is. He's downright a bully, and
he just hadn't been punched in the nose. That's all it boils down to.
No, he hasn't, and he bullies people to get what he wants. And watch this exchange as it progresses, and watch her demeanor.
So I think it's fundamentally sound from a financial standpoint. It's fundamentally sound from an accounting standpoint. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wait. We got to play that again. Wow. That was like, you could almost hear a couple of crickets chirping. Hold on. Let's listen to that again.
So I think it's fundamentally sound from a financial standpoint. It's fundamentally sound from an accounting standpoint. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but what I'm saying is that we don't want to.
Wait a minute. You know what the thought process here was? He's
not trying to put her on the spot, but she's on the spot.
He asked the question, and she says, "Okay, if I say no, I'll lose my job. If I say yeah, I live to fight another day." Yeah.
Wow. Worst case scenario, she'd be a little bit of fodder for bossierwatch, but look, I can't blame her. She's in a tough spot there.
Anyway, keep going.
Okay, here we go.
Take these steps that would financially impair the city, and I firmly believe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I firmly believe, as it's been stated, that these raises are due, and we're here and prepared to give this money back to each of you that serve this city so well. So thank you.
All right, there's the grandstanding right there.
You guys have done such a good job that, you know what? Since you put the billboard up and you took the billboard down, and you've been bitching about that you were underpaid, and
you're all standing out there in the audience,
and you're all standing right here in the audience or whatever. By golly, you deserve this. You do it. We've got the money. We've had the money. We've had it forever. And
he's going to do y'all a favor and give you your pay raise, give you some of your tax dollars back.
I just can't believe all these asshats have been standing in the way for all this time. I mean, none of them have government accounting degrees, but I do, but they just wouldn't listen. They just wouldn't listen. I mean,
Wow. That is the definition of grandstanding. Yep, we said it at the same time. Hey, good grandstanding, absolutely. And Miss Alice Boyer is throwing up in her mouth right now. Okay. Oh, now here's an interesting point from Miss Jerry. She says only $500 pay raise with no long-term funding. That's a little foreshadowing there, Miss Jerry. So let me throw this out there too, because this is one of the things, again, I'm a little confused on what they actually accomplished in this meeting. It seemed like they had the meeting before and they were all gung-ho about what was it, 7% increase for the police, and then I forget what the percentage was ongoing, da 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 da. But here we are. It seems like we're going backwards, and he's trying to make it sound like a great thing that they're going to give a $500 raise.
yeah, well,
I'm confused.
we'll get to this $500 thing here in just a little bit, but I want you to jump forward just a hair. I might have accidentally sent us back to this original point, but
Okay.
jump forward past his comments here, and I had put a note in there, give the money back.
Yes. Okay. So,
but that was a reply to that, so it's not going to give the correct timestamp.
Well, do we want to just jump back to the fundamentally sound and just play it through?
Yeah, go ahead. We'll play it through.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to hear that fundamentally sound one more time. Here we go, folks.
So I think it's fundamentally sound from a financial standpoint. It's fundamentally sound from an accounting standpoint. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but what I'm saying is that we don't want to take these steps
You wanted to say something more.
Financially impair the city.
Now, free to his
and
credit.
I firmly believe, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I firmly believe, as it's been stated, that these raises are due, and we're here and prepared to give this money back to each of you that serve this city so well. So thank you.
Please vote for me again.
Is that, Mr. Montgomery, is that going to be all your amendments, the fire, police, municipal employees, the sales, removing the
sales tax we're going to do as a separate amendment.
I know, but I just wanted to know if there was any more part of the amendment. Is that?
No, I think, does that cover, I want to make sure that this, before we move forward.
I know we're voting on two separate items, but is there any third or fourth items?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
That's it. But I want to make sure that we're covering and we're clear that what our goal is here. Is that?
I have a motion to amend all operating budgets to take out administration proposed for raises and replace with a $500 per month raise for all non-civil service employees, police officers, and firefighters, and step as appropriate.
Right, but the funding mechanism or.
Whoa. So let me make sure I'm clear. It was $500 a month across the board for all non-civil service employees, which is most of the employees of the city, and police and fire, which would be considered civil service employees. Did I hear that correctly?
Correct. That was a technical word to include all of them, every city employee across the board. So in a nutshell, to catch some of you up that may not you're not on top of all of this, the mayor had a proposal forward about address. They got the salary study. So the problem was
the $70-something thousand salary study, right?
Yeah. So it was determined that, the police department has been saying, look, we're understaffed. We're not paid enough. We can't get people to fill these jobs. They're having to take patrolmen and work in the jail just to cover the jail, right?
Well, and let me point out one other little fact too, is that right now, Bossier City PD has a shortage of about 20 officers that they can't get people to come in to fill those jobs. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, if you've never worked in law enforcement and you've never done it, it's a thankless job. You know, I mean, I guess in extreme situations, you're glad to see a cop. You know, if you're in a bind and you need help, you're 100% glad. But a lot of times, it's either at a wreck, it's because you get pulled over because you freaking speeding or doing stuff. I mean, Lord knows I've done stupid stuff. But I'm just saying, you know, interactions with police officers. Do you think that cops just love all of this? No, they don't. I mean, it's their job. They choose it. Yeah, that's right. Somebody has to do it. But you're at a place where if we as a society, if we want law and order, we have to have people to affect that.
Yes.
Well, to get people to take, and I'm just going to say this for all of you that don't like your ears being abused by cuss words, to take the bullshit, you've got to pay somebody a living wage to be able to do that. Well, for you've come to your own conclusion why that is not where it should be in the city of Bossier. It's not like it's a question that it's hasn't happened before, because it has happened before, not once, not twice, but many times it's happened in Bossier. It seems to be a repetitive thing that happens in the city of Bossier, and it has all happened under the watch of some of the same names and faces. So, you know, here we are. The city, it was pressed forward that we have a problem. We don't have police wanting to come to Bossier, right? They're not wanting to come work here. We're having staffing problems.
Right.
Money's the thing. You're not paying enough to make people want to do this stupid job. And so the mayor, the mayor and the council, they put forward a salary study. Well, this salary study comes forward. It makes a determination that you've got a lot of jobs in Bossier City that, guess what, Rex?
They're below the.
Well, they're you got a lot of them that are below
And a
the
lot that are
average,
above.
and you got a lot that are above. So what does Tommy Chandler and his administration put forward? They put forward a proposal to bring every job we're talking about, from the dog catcher, you know, to the jailer, to the firefighter, to bring everybody to the median range. Everybody's going to be brought to the median range, right?
Seems like a fair thing to do and a responsible thing to do.
But all of a sudden, what do you have the king jump up here and do?
$500 for everybody. It's like the Oprah show. There's a free car under everybody's chair.
Everybody.
Except in this case, it's not a real car. It's a $500 Hot Wheels car.
So it sounds great in theory, but here's the thing. If some of these people who are below the average to such a point, $500, and later on the CAO, Amanda Nottingham, points out that you still, even if you give them the 500, some of these people, they're still going to be below the average.
Right.
But then some of these people that are above, you're going to give them 500, and now the disparity is even wider.
Yeah, going to put them actually above.
But I don't have a governmental accounting degree like him, so I guess I'm incapable of understanding how that could possibly be wrong. But to his credit, and a walk down memory lane, in his own words, I think we're going to be able to understand it clearly here in just a little bit. We're going to be educated, as he has articulated about other councilmen, that maybe they need an education in governmental accounting. Well, I think he's going to need to listen to his own words here in a little bit.
All right. And so before we move on, I was just trying to do some quick math, and I just figured this on $55,000 a year for just as best I could remember off the salary study. It may be more than that for some of the police, but I just used $55,000 a year. The salary study indicated that most of them were about 7% below, so I multiplied 55,000 by 7%, and that's $3,850 a year divided by 12 is $320.84 per month. So I guess in some respects, Queen Monty is trying to give them, I mean, Mr. Responsible Government Accountant is trying to give them more in some cases, again, quick math, just using averages, than what the salary study actually indicates. But then again, like you said, Duke, people that were already being paid above the median and regional average or whatever, well, that's just going to put them even further above.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
It's not parody, but so we're watching him talk to this lady, this accountant lady that works for the city. Obviously, he's been he has influence here. I mean, because that's what this is all about. It's about influence, whatever. But you saw her just a second ago. You saw her hesitate, and it's as if she wanted to say something, but she pulled back. She was intimidated. I mean,
Right.
and she didn't. And I said a while ago, and I'll say it again, to Free's credit, he picked up on that. And Free, if you go to the 54:29 mark, Free, he jumps out there.
Yeah, and we're almost there, about 20 seconds away. I'm just going to hit play.
Okay.
The funding amount will have parity. The exact same amount will go to the police department and the fire department, which is the 1.76 million. That's part.
He just,
I thought I said round
he said
up.
rounded up to 1.6. What's a couple?
Yeah,
let's just round it up. What the hell?
1.8.
All right, here we
Hold
go.
on.
So
Hold
this
on
is
just
the
a second,
comments
Mr.
you were
Freed.
talking about.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
saying, have we covered all of the employees of the city?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to open this up to the council first, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions. So, Mr. Free?
No, you were in the mid, you were trying to say something to their response. Do you remember?
You did look like you were going to say something, but you let Mr. Montgomery finish.
If it was sustainable.
Yeah, I can remind you.
Right, after the 4 or 5 years to have a recurring type of
Right.
revenue to continue.
You'd agree with that?
But,
Bueller.
She's like,
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
In front of me.
I'm not putting you on the spot, Angel. You were very hesitant on that. I'm a very good facial reader. I mean, it just seems to me like after 5 years, we're going to drain the entire general fund budget.
oh, leave it to Bull in the China closet to just say it like it is.
Well, I mean, look, she is in a very bad spot here.
An
She's
awkward
got
position. She is. You're right.
the bully. She knows that if she goes against him and she says what she really thinks, he's going to have her job. He's going to
Yeah.
cut her off. He'll go after her. I mean, that's what that's what she believes.
She's like, somebody
I mean,
throw me a lifeline here, and thank goodness Brian Hammonds came to the rescue.
Do all of y'all not see that the same way? Am I wrong in my observation? Free picked up on it. Chris Smith picked up on it. Brian Hammonds picked up on it. Bubba's asleep. And Maggio, he's not going to say a damn thing.
He's clueless. He probably doesn't even know what the hell they're talking about.
No, he knows what's going on. He's just not going to say anything. He's going to carry the water. But the point of the matter is she's scared to death to say the truth. She's scared. And why is she scared?
I want to point one thing out because a couple of folks have commented about what Tommy's doing or not doing and all this. Look, I saw Tommy a while ago at Chris Smith's campaign event. Shook his hand. He came up to me, hey, how you doing and all that. And I've said this 1,000 times. Tommy's the nicest guy in the world. But Tommy, let me tell you something. This is exactly where the point at which you start winning the hearts and minds of those of us that are doubting your fortitude. This is where you should have picked up and carried the mantle and not left it up to Brian Hammonds.
Yeah, I mean, but the problem is, and the mayor the mayor's office, whether it's Tommy Chandler or not, has been neutered for a long time. And these guys, with the exception of Maggio, he wasn't there, but Chris Smith and Hammonds and Maggio, they weren't there. But these other guys, they neutered the mayor's office. You've got a person who is giving the information of the city, the DNA of the city to them on decision making here, and that city employee feels fearful and hesitant to say what they really think for fear for their job. And why are they fearful for their job? They're fearful for their job because the mayor doesn't make the determination on them anymore. These
You're right.
council took that away.
Well,
They
yeah,
took the
that's
mayor's
a whole
ability away.
that's
It's
a
these guys.
whole other issue and a little bit of foreshadowing when we jump in the time machine here in a minute. I want to put a comment up here real quick.
Let me say this:
All right.
when you build into the system, to degrade accountability, or you build into the system to where you control the outcome of the city employees, or their reporting, or you control it or whatever. It's just like this iron sharpens iron thing. If we can't debate the issues honestly, if I can't tell all my side of the story without fear of retribution, then we're not going to get to the best resolution. We're only going to get one slanted, biased side of the issue.
Well,
So,
I agree, and let me give a little more advice to Tommy. This would have been the perfect opportunity to both smack Montgomery in the mouth while defending the police and fire. All you would have had to do, Tommy, at this point, and to take the heat off of her, was say, look, I understand that this is going to cause an issue with the budget, but this is something y'all should have figured out years ago. You already knew this was coming, and we've got to do something to get these police and firemen a raise. Hoorah!
Well,
win-win, Tommy.
That's exactly right. Well, this little clip right here, this little few minutes that you just saw with her and her reporting, I mean, this should show you and prove to you the fear of the king is real, or you get the meat axe.
Yes.
Bottom line. And this is why right here that you just watched, this is why you need term limits. This is why the council shouldn't be in direct control of the employees of the city of Bossier. This is why. It's because of this right here.
It is.
You don't get good government.
Yeah. And you get somebody that has, or they think they have, too much power and authority, and they're able to use that to their advantage, and putting in finance department folks on the spot right there at the podium. All right. Shall we keep moving on?
Let's keep moving on.
All right. Shall we jump to the next mark, the bankrupt?
Yep,
deal?
Go ahead and jump.
All right, here we go.
Well,
I would like you to answer that question.
Well, let's finish this part.
It's hard to know what's going to happen sales tax wise and revenue wise, but I don't know, over 5 million a year is a lot for the.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of money. And to go back to the parity, and all you guys in here, don't take this the wrong way. I mean, this is just real life right here. I understand what, giving it to the police and then giving the same thing to the fire, but that is not parity when it comes to the pay structure at the fire department and the police department. It's not parity when it comes to people that control. We have three things that are very vital to this city. One is our water department, and two is our police department, and three is our fire department. That's what keeps this city running. And we still have, even with $500 a month going to them, we still have people in the water department, according to our salary study, that are grossly underpaid. The people that control water going to over 100,000 people a day. Even with that, even with $6,000 a year. Right now, we're, 25 people short at the police department. We just graduated 13 from the fire department. We've, this just, to me, I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm a CPA. I'm not, but I can balance a checkbook. I don't see how this is sustainable.
So, again, leave it to the bull in the china closet to just come out and say it like it is.
Yeah, well, but he's not going to have all the thunder this night. Anyway,
No, he's not. All right. We're almost there, so I'm just gonna hit the play button. Here we go.
I mean, the only way if this is not sustainable, the one thing we're going to have to do in the years to come, we're going to lay people off, and we're going to have to raise taxes. That's the only way that we're going to make this up. And
did you see that elephant run across the room?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Something tells me there's incoming.
Incoming. Here we go.
then we're going to look back and we've got $40-something million gone out of the general budget, and we're going to be bankrupt, in my opinion.
Whoop! There it is. Let's back that up. Here we go. Let's hear him say it again, Sam.
Yes, either that or move more money from, that's going to capital to operating.
All right, hold on, let me back it up.
Either that or more money is going to come from capital into operating. So what does that mean? Either that, bankruptcy, we all know what that means, or more money is coming from capital into operating. So meaning from capital, meaning that, construction projects, the engineering brotherhood isn't going to be able to make their commission, the construction companies aren't going to be able to be making their thing because there's not as much going on. Insurance companies aren't going to be able to be writing insurance. I mean, just doom and gloom right there, baby.
Well, all right, here we go. I'm going to back it up. Listen to this. This is important. This is the bankruptcy quote.
Yes, either that or move more money from, that's going to capital to operating.
Okay. Are you done, Mr. Hammonds? Okay, I'd like to.
I've got a response.
Oh, this is good.
Mr. Montgomery.
So, Angela, let me take back, because history is a part of this decision. For the last 3 years, revenues have exceeded expenditures by how much on average? $7 to $8 million a year. So it's not like we're making the assumption we're going to use fund balance. Quite frankly, if things continue as they have historically, and I'm not saying none of us have a crystal ball, but right now all we have is history, and we know what 2024 is going to end up, and we're sitting on a large sum of money that deserves to go back to the employees of Bossier City. That's the purpose of those type of surplus.
Again, yeah, go ahead, Duke.
All you popo out there, he just said it deserves to go back to you. Why they're sitting on a large sum of money? Why is it taking so long? Why do y'all think that inexplicably now he just suddenly has we got a gold mine here. We can just give it all to you. Why all of a sudden?
Yeah.
If he's known that, he's the only governmental accountant up there. Why now is he your best friend all of a sudden? Why?
Yeah. It's just.
Are y'all not asking yourself that?
Dazzle them with brilliance or baffle them with BS.
And I'm not even saying that just to the popo. I'm saying that to if you're the damn dog catcher or your sewer department. Why?
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden now?
Yeah. Why?
Why is it?
All right, here we go.
Pluses in the general fund. And to voice gloom and doom, then we would never give pay raises. I mean, when was the last time we gave a pay raise?
This is good.
2000?
20.
I don't know. I'm
21 or 22.
Was it 2009? That's what I thought. So anyway, the point being, the money's there. We're still not taking all of the increases of 7 to 8 million. We're using a portion of that, which is $5 million. out of the 7 to 8 increase. So as far as I'm concerned, as things have been in the past, and as we have to anticipate that they might not continue at 7 and 8, but even if they decrease by 20 or 30%, we're still going to have the 5 million growth to cover the raise. So anyway, that's my debate point on that.
Again, not to belabor the point too much, but why are they waiting, and why now? All right, here we go.
Okay.
I've got one more question.
Go ahead.
Can I ask it?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. What would happen, we're talking about this reoccurring money and everything like that. There's talk right now in Texas of them legalizing gambling. What would happen if we lose 2 casinos in Bossier City?
We would have to replace, we would need money to pay debt service that's coming out
How
of
much
that.
money would we need to replace?
And spoken like a true accounting type person, she actually looks the numbers up instead of rounding.
Debt service is $9,335,000.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, nobody wanted to take that one down any further, did they?
Yeah, cricket silence. All right, I think this is getting close to where it starts getting good, correct? Really?
Yeah, so Bubba Don, he chimes in, and I think he woke up, and Bubba Don, you know, I don't know if he was taking a shot or not. He may not have known. You just don't know, but he's what set this thing off, and it was his comments that set it off. So let's start there.
Somebody doesn't like this plan. I mean, we haven't seen nobody else come up with another plan, so, you know.
I saw a plan, so that's inaccurate, but anyway.
No, if you have, I mean, I'm not saying you didn't. I haven't
No,
heard
there's
it.
a plan in the current budget, but
I have one more question. I mean, was there a budget meeting that I missed?
there was
on
before we
this?
came in, I believe.
I mean, I'm just wondering where this came from.
There was. Did y'all catch what he said there?
A budget meeting before we came
the meeting,
in.
yeah. The meeting before the meeting.
You know, and they don't have meetings before the meetings, but apparently, you know, not everybody was invited to this meeting before the meeting, and they didn't have any knowledge about this $500. Well, you know what? I'm not going to frame it because I think Chris Smith frames it here in just a little bit when he tries to break the gavel on the desk there.
The Bubba Don just woke up for his afternoon pudding. That's so wrong, but so right. All right, here we go.
I was only out of town for one meeting.
I agree with that. All right, I have a few questions too.
I think each council member has the right to offer amendments on the floor. Am I right, Mr. Smith?
You do, but I would point out that I came out of a meeting with a firefighter who knew more details about this than I did, so there's been some coordination going on here. But I'd like to ask a few
Let me
questions
ask you
myself.
something, Mr. Smith. When did this budget that's being presented today come about? Because Mr. Darby and Mr. Williams and myself met with that man and that lady 3 or 4 months ago, and the budget was done. And I've got 3 of us, which is legal. We sat,
which is legal.
It is.
Okay.
I don't know why he felt the need to point that out.
All right, here we go.
We talked about the budget, and it was presented. Am I right, gentlemen?
That's correct.
And this, what I see today, presented, we had no knowledge of. The very same thing you're accusing other people of.
There was a whole public workshop where this was discussed.
But we have businesses and jobs.
So
we're supposed to.
Blah, 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 blah.
He's got businesses and jobs. No, all y'all in the public, you got business and jobs, but you found time to go to the public workshop meetings. But he had no idea.
Yeah, this is where the tempo of the meeting picks up, folks.
To cancel our life because this is the day you're supposed to show up?
When you,
And how about
when you decide to
and
run for
throughout
office,
the
yes,
years,
absolutely.
throughout the 3.5 years
Wait
that
a minute, Did y'all catch? You got to back up a little bit. You got to play that again.
Hold on,
People
here
may
we
not
go.
have caught that. He says, "You want us to cancel our lives?"
Yeah, here we
To
go.
which Chris had a great one.
Yep.
There was a whole public workshop where this was discussed.
Listen up.
we have businesses and jobs. So we're supposed to cancel our life
Right
because
here.
this is the day you're supposed to show up?
When you,
and how about
when you decide to
and
run for
throughout
office,
the
yes,
years,
absolutely.
throughout
Mic drop.
See, I wouldn't be wearing this name tag tonight except for this meeting. Mr. Smith woke up a little bit and was on the right side of things.
He was unchained. He finally let loose with the tiger here.
Here we go.
Throughout the 3.5 years that I've served, the mayor's always been welcome at my office. I've heard nothing since that last meeting. So I have the very same argument that you have, that I wasn't included. So I have every right, as I see, to come up with my proposed plan. I think I'm entitled to that. And you're entitled to bring what you would like. That's what this council's all about. I think that the $500 a month raise is what the people deserve. It helps those people that are in the middle, which is the majority of the employees. At $40,000 a year, that's a 15% increase. At 50, that's a 12. At 60, that's a 10% increase. I think the people deserve it, and I'm here prepared to debate till whatever time it is, to fight for these people's right to have the $500 a month.
You gotta
Fight for your right. That's exactly what I was thinking. Do y'all see, you want to talk about grandstanding? Again, I go back to, I've said this ad nauseum tonight. Why now? Why is he grandstanding now? Crickets.
I mean,
it's okay to have crickets when I ask that.
Surely, if you're a city employee, surely you see right through this. Surely you can see through this. I mean, let's keep going.
All right, here we go.
All right.
In the meeting Mr. Montgomery's talking about is at the mayor's office. I think, if I'm not mistaken, David, it was $3.5 million short, wasn't it, the budget?
Well, I wasn't going to get into the details, but we certainly can talk about the fact that and am I right? Y'all looked at me and you said, how do we solve this problem? We're $3.5 million in the hole. And we came up, we balanced the budget as well as the water and sewer budget, and we thought everything was done. And then it changed. So.
Okay, so I'm going to start asking my questions now. Angela, or actually, let's start with Ms. Nottingham. The administration put forth a proposal. I don't believe y'all coordinated with any council members on how to come up with that. That was proposed by the administration and then presented at a public workshop in front of God, everybody, cameras.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
The budget was
So there
submitted to the council on
So nobody was
September
left out.
15th.
That the mayor comes up with a budget and presents it to the council. That's what I thought. I couldn't remember though. Okay, so your proposal was to get every employee in this city, fire, police, municipal, up to at least their market minimum, so that they're getting paid at least what they could get paid if they went outside elsewhere to find similar work, to pay them fairly, and then raises on top of that, and then a stipend for the fire department. Okay. And that plan cost how much?
The total was $3.3 million.
$3.3 million. Okay.
$3,310,975. And that's all the funds.
Okay.
Not just general fund.
All right. And then explain the sales tax fund that y'all were going to propose to move into the general fund.
Correct. So there's currently the money it's going to a capital account. And so we proposed to move $2 million from that is currently going to capital into the general fund to cover the cost of the increases. So there, it's the Parkway Capital. It would leave $2,312,127 going to that capital fund, but move $2 million to general.
Okay, so y'all's proposal wasn't just to completely gut that of all capital funds, but just to help find a reoccurring revenue stream for pay raises.
Correct.
Oh, imagine that concept. Y'all do understand, for those of you that are watching, and I'm no expert at all this and still slightly confused over actually what they did at this meeting, but what she's trying to articulate, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lowry or Mr. Sadow in the comments, is that they're trying to have a way to sustain these raises that the mayor's office, the administration, calculated to be about 3.3 million based on the salary study recommendations. Did I say that pretty close to correct?
Yeah, I think you did. I mean, they based their measured action off of what the city spent money on to say how we needed to address the shortcomings within the different jobs within the city, and that's how they proposed to address it, rather than grab a bunch of turds and throw them all at the wall as much as you could throw at one time to just see how much of it all sticks, with no care for how much you have in your hand and how big your wall is. I mean,
Yeah, I think one of Montgomery's goals with this, with his grandstanding, was to try to come across as looking as a supporter of police and first responders and their raises. I legitimately think that was his goal, and to make this discussion the appropriate discussion over the actual recommended pay raises from the salary study to make it seem purposely complicated so that he could look like the good guy.
yeah, I think that's correct, and I think it's also to try to control where the monies to fund these raises came from, because you got to understand, you've got some nests of money that, by gosh, you cannot touch those nests of monies because those are what keeps the engineering brotherhood going, and you got other piles of money. There's a lot of moving parts here, but let's keep going.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. So the amendment on the floor is about a little over $2 million more than what was proposed in the mayor's budget. And we're also going to remove that reoccurring revenue stream. So we're just going to go out of the fund balance. And year-to-date, Ms. Williamson, where are we at sales tax-wise compared to prior year?
Uh-oh.
You said in the last meeting, but I don't have those notes in front of me. Were we down 15%?
Uh-oh.
15.2 or 3.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. I thought I had that year to date. Sorry, I thought I had that.
No, that's-
We have the number for October, but not year-to-date.
Okay, that's fine. What was the October number?
For October, it's down 15.3%.
That's what I thought.
Uh-oh.
15.3%. And
I
and
remember
so,
reading an article somewhere about sales tax revenues being down. I wonder where I read that
No.
article.
I think it's some educated person from South Bossier that may teach at one of those.
One of
I'm
those
not gonna say
fancy
that.
fancy colleges.
One of those fancy colleges. Yeah, there you go. Keep
Yeah.
going.
All right, here we go.
I bring that up because for the last 3 years, this country as a whole has faced record high inflation. A gallon of milk went from $3 to $4. You know, lumber skyrocketed, causing housing prices to go up. Energy costs have gone up. Everything costs more, and I don't think anybody in this room would disagree that it costs more to go to the grocery store today than it did in 2019 pre-pandemic. And so as inflation is starting to come down and we're starting to get back to pre-pandemic numbers, sales tax is going to come down, correct? I mean, that's basic math. Inflation's not as high, so things aren't going to cost as much, so we don't tax as much. Is that a fair statement?
Well, people don't spend as much either.
And people, yeah. Is that a fair statement, Ms. Williamson?
Wait,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
was that Jeff Free actually making an intelligent comment?
He was agreeing with Chris. Can you believe it?
Wow. Wow. I wonder if he's going to try to run for city council again. Anyway.
Maybe mayor.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so while we're projected, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to put 7 million towards this fund balance this year to put us a little over 45 million, that might not be the case next year.
Correct.
And of course, we don't have, that's the problem, we don't have a crystal ball. So for the firemen who talked to me earlier who said, how can this bankrupt the city? We've got 45 million in 4 years to figure it out. Or you know what? We have two options at that point. Option number one, we go to the citizens of Bossier City and we ask them to pass more property taxes.
Uh-oh.
And in this government, in today's political climate, people don't trust the government. It's not just Bossier City. They don't trust Shreveport. They don't trust Louisiana. They don't trust the United States. So
You got that right.
we expect for
Amen,
them
brother.
to trust us to pass another millage because we passed something 4 years prior that put us in a bad spot. And option number two is what happened in 2009 when firemen, police officers, municipal employees were let go.
Uh-oh.
Trigger
And so we can
alert.
fight hard for pay raises that are deserved. Do not ever say that, I say they don't deserve $500 because I've
Here we
been fighting
go.
for pay raises since the day I walked in these doors. And I've been shut down every year.
Amen,
So don't
brother.
ever
Preach it.
accuse me of that.
Are you directing it at
But,
me?
yes, I was, Mr. Montgomery. Yes,
Oh, like the Joe Rogan deal. Wait a minute. I gotta timestamp that. Hold on.
I don't know what was going on down at that end of the table because we're looking at Amanda and the accountant there, but something was happening there. All of a sudden, Chris was getting wound up.
Yeah, no kidding. I wish we had, and I wish they had switched the camera angle.
But to his point, Chris is right. Since day one, even Tommy, they ran on wanting to get
Yeah,
raises
they did.
for the police and address that issue.
And look, there were meetings where that issue has been brought up, and no, we got to have a salary study first. Well, okay, then you got your salary study, and now you're still him-hawing about it.
Yeah, so here we are at the end of their terms, and now suddenly the king suddenly wants to address pay, and you got an election coming up. Ding, ding, ding. He suddenly wants to address pay now. All of a sudden, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done everything in their power to delay it up to this point, and now we're going to address pay. And yeah, Chris. I'm directing it at you.
Well,
You damn right.
Well, let's hear the food fight. Here we go.
yes, absolutely
Well, then
I
you're
was.
totally
But-
incorrect.
But,
It is a false statement.
but Chris Smith did not vote for $400 million in debt service that we have to pay off.
Ouch.
And yes, I've been critical of the debt since the day, and I know we all, I'm on an island by myself on that. But that's fine. I will die on that hill that I didn't put us in to that $400 million worth of debt. And to me, this proposal is missing any lack of basic accounting understanding and conservatism, because this is saying in 5 years, we've got to figure something else out.
Oh.
Either lay you off or raise your taxes.
Oh, kicking the can down the curb.
And so I agree with Mr. Hammonds earlier. He tried to make a motion to postpone this.
Hey, I want to point something out, though, not to interrupt Chris during his soapbox time. Notice Monty shut up.
Not for long. Hang on.
Oh.
He ain't shut up for long.
Was he trying to get his teeth out of his tongue?
I think he was trying to gather himself up because somebody, by gosh, has challenged him. And where is this going to go? Oh, it ain't in a good place.
I think that would be the wise thing, and I think we need to have a public meeting on how to best do this. I can get on board if the original plan wasn't right, but the original plan at least had reoccurring revenue in it. This one has none, zero, nada. And so I can get on board with that one wasn't good enough. But I do not think that with a 20-minute heads up for an extra $2.2 million that it is appropriate to ask me to make that vote right now. Other councilmen may be privy to this plan before we walked in here, but I wasn't. And now I'm being asked to do this, and this isn't lost on me, that we are pitting employees who deserve money against each other for political reasons.
Okay, I'd ask, you're the president.
Mr. Montgomery, I have the floor.
We continue to get interrupted.
Point of order. Mr. Montgomery, I have the floor. Mr. Montgomery.
To have interruptions.
Mr. Montgomery, I will have the marshals remove you if you do not play by the rules.
Hold on. I got to back that up. So, all right, hold on, folks. We got to listen to that whole exchange again. Hold on just a second.
You know, the person operating the camera, I mean, I know why they didn't move the camera back on them, because they were sitting here they were watching the show. They forgot that, I got a job to do.
and I got to say, Wes Marriott is supposed to have video of the meeting, and he's going to upload it so that we can show the other side to this. And I'll promise you I will release that standalone video. But here we go. Let's listen again.
But I do not think that with a 20-minute heads up for an extra $2.2 million that it is appropriate to ask me to make that vote right now. Other councilmen may be privy to this plan before we walked in here, but I wasn't. And now I'm being asked to do this, and this isn't lost on me, that we are pitting employees who deserve money against each other for political reasons.
Okay, I'd ask, you're the president.
Mr. Montgomery, I have the floor.
We continue to get interrupted.
Point of order. Mr. Montgomery, I have the floor. Mr. Montgomery.
To have interruptions.
Mr. Montgomery, I will have the marshals remove you if you do not play by the rules. I have the floor, and you will let me finish.
And I'm letting you know
Mr.
that
Montgomery.
we have out there. Do you understand that?
Swear to God,
Mr. Montgomery.
Do you understand?
Mr. Montgomery, I am running the meeting, not you. If you have an issue, you can raise a point of order. I did not hear you raise a point of order. We're not going to speak out of turn. I'm tired of you walking on everybody around here. Ms. Williamson's scared to death to answer a question, wondering how you're going to respond to it.
Wow.
So I would respectfully ask that we meet with the leadership of the fire department, the leadership of the police department, with the mayor and his staff, and we come up with a true plan that has reoccurring revenue that everybody is happy with. Because I do not think that this is it. And I know you guys want to be paid well. I know you do, but you don't want to sign up for possibly getting laid off in 4 to 5 years if the sales tax goes down. Don't be so nearsighted to not look and see what could happen in the future. So that's it. Is there any other councilman that'd like to speak?
Yeah, Mr. President.
You gotta stop. I gotta say something.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Do you know how close Chris was to legendary status?
Oh, if he'd have tripped that trigger, I would endorse him and never say another negative thing about him. I don't care
He
what he
could
said.
do anything he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even matter. But he was that close to legendary status.
Yeah.
That close.
And I would just like to point out that Matthew Smith is in the comments, which is Chris's brother. And yeah, he did good, Matthew. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt he did.
But you're right, Duke. He was so close. All right, shall we listen to Darby so I can make fun of Darby, or shall we jump to the next point?
Nah, let's get through this. Let's get a little
Yeah.
further, because I keep telling everybody I'm going to take them down memory lane, in which, the king, he keeps talking about 2009. He keeps talking about the past. He keeps talking about, all this good government and all this because of what they did, this, that, and other. But the interesting thing is when he says because of what they did and because of what was done in the past, in every tense, he's always been there. He's always been a part of all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, he's like the common denominator, the bad common denominator of all of this.
Now look, I've got to give Wes Marriott, some people like Wes, there's people that don't like Wes. And I mean,
Wes has got a set on him too.
He has a knack for dumpsters and cheap whiskey. I just got to tell you.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but he's got a knack for dumpsters and cheap whiskey.
Well, let's jump forward and listen to it sounds like a country song somehow. Dumpsters and cheap whiskey.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
West Marriott 211 Shadow Ridge Drive. Who seconded the amendment?
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams.
Okay, thank you. So the councilman who has said he's not running and the councilman who has also said he's not running, they're both offering an amendment that seems like it's setting the building on fire, and then they're going to walk out the door. I do have a copy of the minutes of the workshop that we had last month, where the administration proposed a plan, and members of the public were here, and members of the fire department and the police department were here. The problem is, and thankfully I found a copy of the salary study. It was in the dumpster behind Mr. Montgomery's office, but the salary study has been completely disregarded in some of these recommendations that are offered in this amendment. This is a Band-Aid that is lazy, and it ignores the thousands, maybe the tens of thousands. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this cost $76,000. You spent $76,000 and spent a year on a salary study that we're now completely disregarding. So we're going to give $500 to every single person in Bossier City who's a city employee. That's great. Great job. I'm sure that means a lot to Chief Zagone and Chief Haugen. They probably spent more money on spilt liquor than $500 each month. That does not mean a hill of beans to them. What means more is $6,000 to the wastewater employees. I'm sorry, are you interrupting me?
I am. Mr. President, he needs to be warned about slanderous and
There's nothing
impertinent
slanderous
remarks.
about saying that money doesn't matter to them. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Don't interrupt me, I'm talking. Okay?
Whoa!
What it matters to are to the people that are on the ground, on the line. $500 is a pittance when this recommends that you go to the market minimum. And we're not doing that in several cases. You're ignoring it. You're saying, hey, everybody gets $500. For some, that's great. For some, it doesn't matter. That's why this is lazy, and you need to pay attention instead of ignoring the people. You're ignoring the police officers that are going to come to your house if you lived in the city if you had a problem. They're going to come to your house if you had a problem. But you're going to say, here's $500, ignoring that the market maximum for the fire department is way low. They should be earning way more than $500 if they've been in that driver position for 5 years. They should be earning way more than $500 extra a month if they've been a captain for more than 5 years. You spent $76,000 on 32 pages and you tossed it in the dumpster behind your office. This is lazy. You had a workshop. You ignored it. Go back to the drawing board. You've got a month before you have to have this done, and do it right. This is pathetic.
For the record, Mr. Smith, we don't have a dumpster in our office, and also the trash can's on the side of the office.
Well, he wasn't finished.
Let me see if we can.
He wasn't finished. You
Yeah,
stopped it.
no, I want to set that up. Listen carefully, folks, and see how good the mic picks it up.
And all of our documents were shredded. I shredded,
That's
so.
the only part you heard, sir.
Let's not comment from the audience, please.
I should just hit the finish the show button. We're done. Drop the mic, Wes. Boom.
I mean, look, that cheap whiskey and dumpsters. I mean, wow. Wow.
Colonel said, it's only slanderous if you don't like cheap liquor. Yeah, that was quite the boisterous meeting.
I'm looking through these notes here. There was a lot more good stuff.
Well, I do want to play Shane Culver. Steps up to the mic. That's a pretty good one. So let's hear that.
Shane Culver, 620 Benton Road. I'm a captain with the Bossier Police Department. Been there 31 years, come January.
Got his time
2.5
in.
years ago, we tried to get a raise, but there was no funding in it, in the budget. City Council decided to do a staff study, which Nottingham has, and it stated that the police department.
Could you step a little bit closer to the mic so that they can?
Yeah, it stated that the police department was below what the fire department is. And that in that budget, it was 1.76 million, which rounded up. By requesting the fire department to get 1.7 as well, then that staff study doesn't matter. You're increasing their salary, but you're not increasing ours. You're not bringing us up to them, is what I'm saying.
Somebody's been
Bring us
paying
up to
attention.
them, and then you want to do the $500 across the board, then do the 500 for both of us at that point. But the staff study and raising the millage forward next year was for the $3 million or whatever it was to bring the raises for the city. And that raise isn't for bottom line, it's just to bring us up with the fire department. And I understand where they're at, and I understand that, hey, $500 or anything is better than nothing. But the staff study was done, and the staff study showed that we were underpaid from the fire department. That's the parity. Y'all keep saying parity, but the $1.76 million was to bring the parity up. By increasing their budget by 1.7, now we're below their parity. It's not parity anymore. That's what you have. And all of a sudden now y'all have $5 million. You have this golden goose of $5 million that y'all can spend. For the last 2.5 years.
Where did it come from?
There's been no money. So I don't understand that. I don't think these police officers understand that. 2.5 years ago, 2 citizens were killed. 1 was wounded, and an officer was wounded. Everybody up here said, hey, y'all need a raise. 3 months later, nothing was ever said about it.
Oh, imagine that.
And I understand that the fire department is based off of civil service. Their raises are based off of civil service. There's a percentage. Then bring us up to them too. We're the ones out here with the bulletproof vests on getting shot at. That's all I gotta say.
Drop the
mic. Okay. Well, obviously, Mr. Culver, now I know Mr. Culver was around, and if you're going to have to go to, well, wait a minute, you ain't going to have to. Maybe I can pull it up. And I know Mr. Culver was around this time, but he probably didn't pay attention back during that time. But, you know, there was a time in history where his viewpoint about the bullets and all wasn't exactly shared by everybody.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah. In fact, if you pull up my screen here, this was let's see here, wait a minute, maybe a top March 25 of 2007. So we're going to get a little into the walk down memory lane for everyone. And, you know, interestingly, here's what's ironic for all of y'all. Imagine what the discourse was during this time. It was about pay for public safety, police, fire. Imagine, manpower shortage, pay short, same song and dance. You heard them talking about 2009. Well, 2007, we were having some debate. And in one of the council meetings, Bubba Don made a comment, and here was an ad that the fire and police department, the members of the fire and police ran in the paper. Public notice: the brave men and women who serve in the city of Bossier City Fire and Police Departments deserve a public apology from Councilman Don Bubba Williams for his comments Tuesday, March 21, 2007, stating the soldiers in Iraq have real bullets fired at them. His comments dishonor those who have died serving this community in the police department and the fire department in honor of. And it goes on to list all of the people, the policemen and firemen who have lost their lives in the city of Bossier City. Now, I know, and I'm not raising this back up to pour salt on Bubba Don's wound. I don't think Bubba Don, really meant to be cruel and mean with his comments. The soldiers of Iraq have real bullets fired at them. But when Mr. Culver made his comments, I was there during this time and I remember that. And uh, I got to tell you, it does rub you a little wrong. And as he pointed out, you had citizens killed, you had an officer that was shot. I mean, I think those were real bullets. I think they were real bullets.
I'm pretty sure they were real and traveling very fast and lots of them.
But my point is, this same council, here was this similar same issue in 2007 leading up to 2009 talking about pay, and you've heard the king talk about how we're not going to go back to, because of what we've done, we're not going to allow 2009 and all the layoffs and all that to happen.
Oh yeah, not gonna have all these employees and their families looking at us out here in this audience or whatever he said.
But a lot of people don't understand, and you have to say, well, he can say that, but what is it that actually got things to the place where it was in 2009? What is it exactly? All you new firemen, you new policemen, when you hear him say that, you may not have been around then. You may not know exactly what it was. What got us to that point? Well, I'll just say that there were a lot of political paybacks back during that time. You got to think you had the tenures of George DeMint, and then you had Low Walker come in, and you had a lot of people who had jobs that got really good salaries, that had really good positions, and they weren't police and firemen. And you had a disparity with where priorities were placed, and the priorities were not public safety during that time. And after a while, those priorities took a toll, and it came to a point to where things had to change. But guess what? What was proposed when 2009, when the meat axe had to be swung? What was proposed? Was it proposed to cut the fat, or was it proposed to cut everybody, public safety? And who proposed it? Well, guess what? It wasn't that public safety had the fat. That wasn't where it was at. But just like the $500 across the board to everybody in the whole city, the same thing. It was, even though decisions were made and fat was spread in other places than public safety, but you know what? We're going to spread the pain to public safety. Is they're going to bear that burden. And so when he says, 2009 and because of the decisions that made, hey, he was there. He was a part of all that decision making. And,
Yeah. Common denominator, same guy, still there.
That's right. So in 2009, they proposed across the board cuts to include the police and fire department, who didn't have all of the fat, but it was because of the other management decisions, and the political paybacks, you might say, in the other places that caused and police and fire paid the brunt of it. He doesn't tell that part.
No.
Why is that?
I don't know. And I'm just looking, I'm going to switch screens real quick. I want you to look at the faces of these guys, these fire department guys, police guys, whatever, employees that are sitting there. They're like, what the hell?
I don't think that they really care, and I don't know, because I could say from my standpoint, I didn't get the political minutia back then, and I didn't really care. I just wanted to do my job, get my paycheck, make an honest living. That's what I wanted, and you know, I would almost say that this similar situation when I was sitting there, would I have known that Manchac was throwing a fundraiser after LSU game in Baton Rouge for the mayor, getting money from people, I guess you could say arguably all over the country? When I was in their shoes, no, I wouldn't have known that was happening in the background. I wouldn't have even been paying attention to it. I wouldn't have known that maybe that was why the mayor was making decisions and making moves that he was making. Moves like, I think we should go to the next part of walk down memory lane for folks.
Yeah, so make sure, hold on, let me get back
Yeah,
over here to our notes.
Yeah, let's go to the first link down. How does this happen?
Okay, hold on. All right. Well, yeah, that's the 2019 meeting, right? Okay, here we go.
Correct. So we're going to go all the way back and, to summarize kind of how we've gotten to where we're at, so, Montgomery says, Scott's audio, that really ran over me. That bothered me. For him to sit up there and for him to say, how does this happen? That really ate at me, Rex, and it got me to digging. It ate on me a lot. As well as, you remember the Shed Road crossing, the closing down of the Shed Road crossing. That one bothered me a lot as well too, because again, they're kind of, I shouldn't say they're scratching their heads or nobody's wanting to take ownership. They wanted to blame NTB for that. But then here years later, for the king to get up there and say, how does this happen? Talking about Scott's audio, it just,
well,
I know the why.
He's been there the last 20 something years. What does he mean? How the hell does it happen?
Yeah. So anyway, I went to doing some digging, and let's go ahead and let's just.
Yeah, so for full context, everybody, this is the December the 3rd of 2019 City Council meeting. This is our trip down memory lane in our time capsule. So I've got it queued up. I've got it on live review if you want to hit play, or I can just go up to your, to the first time stamp, the 2-minute mark?
Yep. Go ahead and hit play and let's go. And y'all listen close to this ordinance that's being proposed and ultimately passed at this meeting.
Yeah, not this one. One coming right up.
Next item I have on the agenda request would be number 12, under new business, introduce an ordinance authorizing Mayor Lorenz Walker to acquire property on behalf of the city of Bossier and to execute any documents in furtherance thereof for any city-funded road or utility project, first reading. This add-on is being requested to facilitate the speed of acquiring property and eliminate the necessity for meetings to take place on each acquisition.
So moved.
Second.
Now
Boy,
wait a minute.
Montgomery was quick on that move.
Wait a minute. What particular job or project did y'all hear in that ordinance, in the reading of that ordinance?
Well, I'm pretty sure it said any
job. Yeah, play it again, and y'all listen close to this.
All right, and this is important. Context matters.
The next item I have on the agenda request would be number 12, under new business, introduce an ordinance authorizing Mayor Lorenz Walker to acquire property on behalf of the city of Bossier and to execute any documents in furtherance thereof for any city-funded road or utility project, first reading.
I'm pretty sure she said any city-funded road or utility or whatever. First reading.
That's what she said. So
Okay.
if my English is correct, they're giving, in my understanding, I mean, I'm not a government accountant, but they're basically giving the mayor on any project that's going to be a city road or city utilities, they're basically giving the mayor carte blanche to get after it, bub. That way we don't have to have a meeting and you don't have to come to us.
Now, let me play devil's advocate for a little bit here and hear me out, because I've said this before, about the crippling of Tommy on the city council. But what is wrong, and maybe this video and all this is going to show this, but what is wrong with the mayor being able to make executive decisions and not have to be beholden to come back to the city council for every little thing?
Well, let me put this in a hypothetical. So let's say that I wanted to 4-lane any of y'all on your street, any of your streets, I wanted to 4-lane any of your roads and where your house is, if it's not already 4-lane, but let's assume it's not.
Well, let's use mine for example. So they're going to 4-lane Hickory Ridge.
That's right. That's right. So, you and the mayor, y'all are tight. He's got no oversight with any of the councilmen, and he comes down and starts, making deals, and they decide they're going to put it on your side of the street. He gives everybody along the street, whatever their appraised value is, he gets to you and you say, well, Mr. Mayor, look, we're friends and all, but man, just appraisal value ain't going to do it for me. And he says, well, Rex, what do you need? I was like, well, I need, with the part that you don't take from the road to the entrance to my office, I need it to be covered in gold from the beginning to the end.
Bling.
And the mayor says, well, hey, you know what? We can make that agreement. And bam, golly gee willikers, they just do it. And I mean, what's the council going to have oversight over it?
So Miss Alice brings up a good point. She says definitely no checks and balances. And remember, this is back in 2019, folks. So my contention is, well, they could come up with some checks and balances. Maybe they need to have a certain limit, a dollar value, that the project is. Or maybe the mayor needs to frequently, whatever that is, report to the city council on said project. Surely they came up with something like that in this meeting.
Well, that was what the majority of the debate was about in this meeting. Montgomery was articulating about how we don't get construction or road projects done fast enough, and we need to fast track everything. We need to get things moving faster.
Yeah, gotta
we
hurry.
need to hurry.
Spend that money.
And this just enables us to do everything faster. In fact, if you will,
well, shall I jump to the 333 mark where Gordon Mosley's up there?
Well, the king, for some reason, he was real uptight during this meeting. Go to the 318 mark. I want to see, I think I got this mark correctly. I want to show y'all just how uptight he was. Go ahead and hit play.
Here we go.
Would that be one?
Yeah. What?
This is just to put it on the agenda right now, right?
Yeah, but so that you can vote to put it on, if you don't mind,
okay.
I would like for him
Sure,
to.
yeah.
That way we don't.
Oh, yeah, whatever you want.
So basically, we just had to do an ordinance for the Viking Drive project.
Did y'all, and Larkin and Montgomery are friends.
Well, and I didn't get the right part marked, obviously. But Larkin and Montgomery actually got into kind of like a little bit of an arguing match here.
Oh yeah, that's
saying,
at the 532 mark where the point of
order.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go to Gordon Mosley and just play a brief comments about what he describes what we're doing here with this ordinance. He says it himself.
All right, here we go. Bear with us, folks.
We don't have questions.
So basically, We just had to do an ordinance for the Viking Drive project. And in order to eliminate having to come up here for each and every project, whether it be state, federal, or city funded, we're just going to go ahead and do this ordinance so that we don't have to come in for each acquisition. Viking Drive, for instance, has 30.
So
wait a minute. Haven't I seen billboards for this guy? Is that the same Gordon Mosley?
No, that's that Mickerman or Gaddy or something. No, Gaddy don't have billboards. He's not. I'm sorry about
No,
that.
he does park benches or whatever.
Gordon, yeah. I don't know.
All right, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. Sorry. All right, so explain what's what's going on.
Gordon Mosley just said it. He said it right there. He said this is eliminating having to come in front of the council on every acquisition. So if they work out a deal with somebody on an acquisition of a property, this is so they don't have to do that.
I get my gold driveway with platinum curbs.
We'll just let you know after it's done. We'll let you know after it's done how it turns out.
Oh,
so if we're working on this project and they're going to put a gold road to the front of your office, you'll find out after it's all said and done. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So Cindy Carroll Bridges reminds us in the comments it was Gordon McKernan. Thank you, Cindy. For clarifying.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Mickerman, I thought it was Mickerman or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Close enough. All right. So basically, he's saying the way I'm hearing this, and again, we're back in time to 2019, is carte blanche.
Yeah. So so they're arguing about this. We're at the adding something to the agenda and changing the agenda part, and there you've got Gordon up here. We're talking about projects. We're talking about the amendment, and to Tim Larkin correctly, in my opinion, he says, "Wait a minute, what are we doing here? This ain't right." And Montgomery loses his crap. Hit play.
All right, here we go.
Is that what you were talking about for Airline Drive? Or Viking Drive?
Viking Drive.
I got a point of order, just a point of order. This is inappropriate. See, what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to decide whether we want this on the agenda. And then at the meeting time, we're supposed to have this exchange so you can thoroughly investigate it. So I would discourage anything other than just putting it on the agenda or not putting it on the agenda. And there shouldn't be any reason in the world.
I believe you're right.
All right, no. I want to ask Mr. Hall. We have, when we're adding this on, we have to get public comment. Is that right? Right.
Listen close.
Listen to this. Yeah.
Anybody out there can come ask about anything they want relative to this being added.
Okay.
There is no.
Did y'all just hear that? Did y'all just hear what the Queen decreed in 2019? You can get up there and comment about whatever you want. Let me play that one more time. Here we go, and I'll let it continue.
Is that what you were talking about for Airline Drive? Or Viking Drive?
Viking Drive.
I got a point of order, just a point of order. This is inappropriate. See, what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to decide whether we want this on the agenda. And then at the meeting time, we're supposed to have this exchange so you can thoroughly investigate it. So I would discourage anything other than just putting it on the agenda or not putting it on the agenda. And there shouldn't be any reason in the world.
I believe you're
Listen
right.
close, Alice Boyer.
I want to ask Mr. Hall. We have, when we're adding this on, we have to get public comment. Is that right? Right. Okay, so that means that anybody out there can come ask about anything they want relative to this being added.
Okay.
There is no limitation as to what questions they can ask or what the council can ask. Now, that's what I appreciate the statute being for the state of Louisiana. Is that correct?
Did you hear that, Alice Boyer? You need to hear, Miss Alice, and I'll be glad to go and grab this audio for you. Just like the Colonel walked up there and played John Fleming's comments, you need to do that at the next meeting. Take this video, have it on your phone, and just hit play and hold your phone up to the mic.
But you had Jimmy Hall back then. You got a new city attorney now, and I'm pretty sure the new city attorney is.
What's she gonna do? Get escorted out by marshals?
Again?
Been there, and she's already got that badge of honor. All right.
Well,
I'm
keep
sorry.
keep playing because Monty's not done.
So, but out of whatever you wish to do, I'll concede to that. But I'm making it a point for the record that I don't agree with what you're saying.
Okay.
Because otherwise, why would we ask these people for their comment? Just to say whether they want it or not? No, they can ask questions. So,
You ask them if they object.
no, sir, they can come and speak to what this is about and what it's going to do.
No, they can't.
Well, Mr. Hall?
They can either object, and if one person objects, then I understand that you cannot put it on the agenda.
One council member, a person objecting is really irrelevant.
Oh, okay, well then.
Anyway,
So-
okay.
so-
cut it
I
off
think
there.
it's-
All right.
We'll try to speed up and get through all this stuff because believe
Yeah.
it or not, I've got one more video from another council meeting that's older than this. That the hypocrisy here in totality, y'all are going to be shocked when you hear what Monty was saying and doing at another council meeting. And when you
Is
put
it? Is it time to get the DeLorean out and jump even further back in time?
Oh, it's worse than that. I mean, when we talk about micromanagement and when we talk about, when you make some things important, like right here, we're wanting to condense to not have oversight over acquisitions of properties and the deals made and the acquisitions. No, we don't want to have all that, but no, we don't have to go there yet.
Okay.
We can. I don't care if you want to pull it up and show it real quick.
I
switch
was
over
kind
there,
of.
we can.
I was
gonna
kind of
save
getting
it
ready.
for last.
Is that the
I was gonna
YouTube
save it-
video link?
Yeah.
With the
I
red
was
light.
gonna
Okay.
save it for last because when you see, I hate to say it this way, but I'm just gonna say it. I don't care. I mean, when you see how anal this guy is on some things, it is absolutely ridiculous. So go to let's get back on the restream, and we're going to jump forward. They get through the meeting. They add this to the agenda. They get down later. Larkin was right. They end up having the debate on the issue at the 22:45 9/11 mark, and I'll go ahead and hit play.
All right, hold on just a
over.
second. Yeah, let me switch screens back. Let me hit this button. I was getting that other video ready just in
Yeah.
case. All right. Go ahead.
All right,
You
here
should
we
have.
go.
So this sounds like a great idea, and I'm not opposed to this, but so the thing that I regret is that each time those things would come before me, it's kind of a way of informing you and giving you a sense of the picture of what's happening. And so my question is there a way that we can accomplish this and otherwise not rearrange it, but have a process by which when these acquisitions are made that we can then ratify them or acknowledge them, one of the two, by a formal process so that we don't lose.
So let me give you all an example. He is expressing concern about the process to which when the acquisitions are happening and the deals are being made, Brian Hammonds asked last council meeting about the Citizens Bank Drive, the $2.5 million. It was a total of $6 million was originally allotted to it because they had to put a lift station in there. Again, that they put the cart before the horse. They ended up having to put a lift station in and the median thing, but had it, been known, maybe they wouldn't have known, maybe they wouldn't have moved forward, maybe they would have. But when they did this in 2019, like Larkin is arguing, if we have some way of being able to see the deal, we could then have some authority to ratify it or not ratify it. Well, when you pass this, you took it away. The mayor and the city attorney's office obviously have the ability after this. They don't have to come back to the council. They just go and get it done. Citizens Bank Drive. I think Ruttenbuck last council meeting didn't answer the question correctly to uh, to Councilman Hammonds. I think he knew the answer, but I think he didn't want to say the answer. The answer was that a deal was negotiated. He didn't want to throw anybody else under the bus. NTB was the ones. Yeah, he probably would have done that because he tried to do that on Shed Road. But a deal was done that, hey, we're going to build this extra road as another means of egress for Green Acres Office Plaza and Brigham Dental. I don't know which, actually. It's one of the two. I can't remember. But I'm thinking the council as a whole, it was done before they ever had a chance to weigh in on it. So even Hammonds now that comes way after the fact, I appreciate him saying, well, do we have to do this deal? But they made a deal, and thanks to the man sitting there on the right, he brought this ordinance to where the mayor and the city attorney go and do these acquisitions, and there's no oversight.
But he just
Now,
can't imagine why that's the case.
How does all of this happen?
Yeah.
Now, do you remember you talking about ignorance and stuff earlier? Rex?
Well, ignorance is he just doesn't know, but I mean, clearly, he's the guy sitting there scratching his chinny chin chin in the LSU sweater.
So, to the question of how does this happen? How can this happen? I mean, I don't know. Can y'all not see how it would happen? I mean, I'm thinking he knows the answer.
Oh, he knows. It's just grandstanding. That's all it is.
So, jumping ahead, Bubba Don, this y'all got to remember this was a little bit of a different time. And Bubba Don was even tuning in on this. Here we go.
Are we going to lose? I think we're taking the council out of it. You can straighten me out. Kind of on the loop of what projects we're doing like this, and when we give them all to you, how are we going to know where we're at on what roads? And people ask us questions. Because we're doing so many projects at once. How are we going to relate to the people where we're at on these projects or what's going on?
Yes, sir. We can do it however y'all.
He ends up talking about. Go ahead.
I got a question though. I'm just throwing this out there for everybody. Feel free to, comment away or whatever. Why is Montgomery on board with giving this power to the mayor back then with Lil Walker?
Wait a minute. What I said earlier about fundraisers after LSU games in Baton Rouge and things like that, I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, the appropriate question is, why is he on board with this power to the mayor back then, but now he wants basically the mayor's cojones cut off?
Yep. Well, Bubba Don was not done. Bubba Don's taking another shot at this, saying it a different way.
Any other questions?
Tommy, you want to ask a question or you want me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Bossier, and David, Jimmy, y'all chime in, please. How much of a problem will it be to just do it like we did number 7 on each project, to break them down? I mean, I don't think we're going to lose time by doing just, that way things may come to our head when we do each project. Here, I think we're going to forget about things as a council.
But, and that's fine, but if you get a monthly report, in addition to Mark's report on the road projects, you're gonna get actually a map showing you what acquisitions are left to do. So I think you're gonna leave with a better sense of where the project is. I think Mark, when he did his report, was talking about the length of time it's gonna start to get Coleman done because it's down the road and there's some property acquisition.
Well, and I think what Bubba Don is when you had them individually coming forward, the agreements and all were attached, and individually the councilman would have time to read all those agreements. But, by the time they end up getting them, the cart's done left the stable. The horse done left the stable per se, So Bubba Don was expressing that he wasn't, so sure about all this. In fact, they all were. Even Darby ended up voting against this. And Bubba Don under his breath right here, what was interesting about this, he leans over to Jeff Free and to Tommy Harvey as if they were working like a team. And he either says, I'm not satisfied or I'm satisfied at a point right here. And I think he says that he was not satisfied, but anyway, so Montgomery throughout this is something else that I picked on while I was watching it. It was just some interesting things. And I want y'all to watch Montgomery real close because he's losing his mind. Yeah. And unless you're paying attention to him individually, you're not going to catch it. But watch his body language and watch what he's saying as there's deliberations going on here. Watch this, Rex.
To know in other municipalities is the typical way they do it. I'm not necessarily advocating one way or another, other than I do know that what they're talking about here is something that's typical and ordinary, and in fact what we are doing is atypical and extraordinary, and
you see that
for what
Whoa.
it's worth.
And he was doing that chin rubbing deal again.
I actually think that by bringing
by the hair of his chinny chin.
Let's go back. Watch him. He's looking over to the left. He's sitting up in his chair. Then he starts doing that finger pointing. Watch that.
To know in other municipalities is the typical way they do it. I'm not necessarily advocating one way or another, other than
eating at
I do
him.
know
He's
that
looking.
what they're
getting
talking
him.
about here is something that's typical and ordinary, and in
at him.
fact
He
what
looked
we are
again.
doing is atypical and extraordinary, and for what it's worth.
Okay.
Interesting.
Let's jump ahead. He's still losing it.
So, I mean, again, not to press the point, but why don't you just have the two of them together? I mean, there isn't anything that's not, is there anything we're leaving off when you do two? Should there?
There's just different processes.
Y'all see his hand
The way I've
motion
understand it, there's
again?
different Ds with state projects.
Y'all see these two ladies out here in the audience? These two ladies were sitting out there talking, and they weren't paying attention to him. He's losing his crap over it. It's eating him alive. That's what he's pointing at. He's pointing at the president to get on him. And the president's not paying attention. And finally, he just snaps and he can't take it no more, just like he always does. He interrupts the meeting and breaks up. We need to ask anybody in the audience if they want to come up and talk or whatever, but it was just getting under his skin right there.
Wow.
Anyway, so
typical Monty.
So, all right, look, Larkin's been having his shots. Bubba Don's been taking his shots. And would you believe Jeff Free jumps in on this?
Oh, my city councilman. Wow.
Yes.
I'm still a little unclear. Why can't we not, as we did in old business, number 7, Viking Drive project comes up, we give the authority for the entire project and then have the knowledge. Why can't we do that as well as get updates monthly and maps and just do that for each project? Walter O. Bigby Carriageway, done.
So what are you going to gain by doing that?
I think, like some of the other council members expressed, just staying abreast on what's going on.
You are going to stay abreast. You're going to get a monthly report, which is much more, as Mr. Larkin pointed out, than you're getting today.
Why can't we get both?
Why would you slow down a project for the sake of having to come before the council and have these readings? I mean, what purpose does that serve
Is it just one
outside
reading?
of the report?
Just one reading, right? Viking Drive?
I believe an ordinance is 2 readings.
Well, we approve it one time and we're done. Do the entire project, correct?
Yes,
After
sir.
After it's approved, comes before for the second vote.
And Mr. Free, just going back to what I said earlier, with Coleman Street, for instance, Mark's meeting with DOTD on the 17th, and if they approve the right-of-way plans on that day, we can start closing on the 18th. Whereas if we have to get an ordinance approved, it'll delay.
Hang on a second. Montgomery
4 weeks,
incoming.
But it's whatever y'all want to do. That's just what Ronnie Smith recommended he does with Ruston, and it's just a blanket deal. But however y'all want me to do it, I can do it by each project and give the monthly update, whatever's best.
But I guess you just pointed out that you're got a 4-week delay, and for what reason? I'm not understanding the purpose of having them come before the council on this to delay the project another month.
Okay, wait a minute. I've got a couple of ideas and examples. Shed Road Crossing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that one. Maybe the median in front of Scott's Audio and Trim. Could that be a possibility? Maybe. Just I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody can tell me how that would happen.
Wes is on fire in the comments tonight. He says, if only we had a mega corporation take over and handle these things like a pro.
Yeah. So in totality here, so for all of y'all watching, the general gist of it here, you see the lengths to which it was went to simplify or to negate, oversight. I mean, I get what he says. And you can somewhat agree with what he's saying about let's get the things out of the way so that government can get the roads built faster, and let's get rid of the hurdles
Eliminate
and all of that.
red tape.
Yeah, I mean, that totally sounds great, right?
In theory.
In theory. But what happens when you have accountability issues? Shed Road Crossing, the median in front of Scott's Audio and Trim. What, even he's asking the question, what happens? But y'all see, and Rex, you see what I'm talking about, how the lengths we went to get rid of the micromanagement or the oversight, or to on we're talking about multi-millions of dollars, right?
Right.
Now I want you to go to that. Now I want you to go to the YouTube video of this other council meeting, and I want you to play at the 2035 mark. I want you to play this little bit of dialogue between Councilman Montgomery and then City Engineer Mark Hudson.
All right, here we go.
Good. So that is underway?
Well, I doubt that it's underway.
Yeah, but it's on.
But it's part of the grand plan, yes, sir.
It's going to bubble up to the top here. Yeah, good. Thanks.
All right, here we go.
Yes, sir.
One last on the light.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get both of them in there. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, you probably do need them both, because he is pretty animated.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get the video. Hold on. Technical difficult. Well, blast it.
Oh, you got Larkin.
Yeah, I'm getting closer. Hold on. Got to deal with the software for just a second. All right, here we go.
There
There
you
we
go.
go. That's better. All right, here we go, folks.
There at Innovation, as well as any lights that happened, as Mr. Larkin was saying, would you please spec the darker light poles?
Yes, sir.
Dark green or whatever.
Green or brown.
I'm glad you
Green,
that.
dark green.
They'll be green.
I certainly would appreciate that, and that we eliminate in any future projects, for the record, galvanized poles that turn to rust.
You
Is
want,
that fair?
you don't like the kind that rust?
No, I don't. But we can take a poll in the audience here, and we can see who likes rusted poles or nice classic dark green poles. You want everybody to raise their hand and see?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, we,
Would y'all mind participating? Who likes rusted poles?
it's called weathered steel. They look pretty nice.
Yeah. Who likes dark green poles?
Oxford English green.
Thank you all very much
Wow.
for your
Mark, I got one
participation
question for
today.
you.
Yes, sir.
What about the blinky yellow lights on on Shed
So-
Road and the?
This guy is micromanaging on the color of light poles, and he doesn't want galvanized steel. But when it comes to all the major projects and reduce millions upon millions of dollars, I mean, we're going to bypass oversight from the council and just give the mayor carte blanche on all roads and utilities, have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the cake and eat it too. It's the whole grandstanding thing. Basically, it's Montgomery's bullshit.
But when it comes to police and firemen and all, and city employees, raises and salaries and all that stuff, y'all really believe that he suddenly just decided that, or learned that we had the money, that all along he didn't know that you couldn't pay you?
Well,
He's known all along.
I got to ask Greg Bell real quick. Was that a veiled swipe at Montgomery, Greg? Okay. Anyway, sorry. Squirrel moment. Sorry.
I don't know. I could keep going on and on. I have plenty more. In fact, hang on a second. Let me see here. Go ahead. Here you well, no, I got to hit the share screen button, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. This one here, 2007, 2008, here's a quote from Montgomery. "We've got to learn to live within your means." We've got to learn to live within your means. Every other department through this budget crisis has had to learn how to do the same with less. In the spirit of what we decided in this hiring and promotion freeze, this is how we can control the budget. This was going after the mayor. This was I think one of the times when they were trying to corral Low Walker, and they finally did. They finally got him corralled in. Low Walker was wanting to get a secretary, I believe, for himself, and they basically were putting him on lockdown. But when you go back and you look at his quotes, they conflict, and they conflict a lot. I've got more, but I don't want to bore people.
Yeah, there's more. And we're almost at the 3-hour mark. So let's summarize this. I can summarize it pretty easy. Montgomery's full of shit.
Here's another good one. And, this
your
was,
favorite person.
Yeah, Sammy Halfin was the fire chief, and I think he was right here on this one. And I will point out that, the council, there was a vote here to give fire and police a raise. And the vote was 6-1 not to approve the administration recommended raises during the council meeting. You know who the only single vote was that voted to give? It's a similar scenario right now that you had the administration, like Tommy Chandler, proposed a method and a way to give raises to, the city employees. In this case, it was just the public safety. And they all voted it down. And they ended up proposing, I think, a $400 a month across the board raise.
I'm reading this quote here from Halfin. He says, "It's almost like you're looking for excuses not to give raises."
Yeah, and here's the thing. When you talk about, and I don't mean this in any disparaging way to any other city employee. I don't mean that in any way. Yeah, I mean it's just like, I'll say this: it's just like an engineer. A paramedic can't go do an engineer's job. An engineer, I mean, that is a unique thing, and you can't just replace an engineer. They're not real easy to replace. The same goes for, in a way, a policeman and a fireman. You can't just find somebody to go. You lay those people off. You can't just put an ad up and have somebody out on the street the very next day. You just can't do it. There's too much liability. Besides the fact you're going to lay a bunch of guys off and then you're going to do this. But let me, and again, I don't mean this to insult anybody, but a janitor that's going to sweep the floors at the civic center I mean, or or somebody that's just going to be a secretary answering the phone for somebody. I mean, those jobs are easily replaceable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I had a government accounting degree, I would take in consideration the fact of if I'm going to give raises and or I'm going to lay people off or whatever, you should be thinking about the how hard or easy is it to replace this person or that person or what have you. And some things are not as easy to replace as others. And
But this is crazy. What was the date of that article? It was back when Jones was on the
um,
council. Do you happen to know? I mean,
well,
here,
yeah, yeah, he was during that time. I don't remember. It would have been prior to 2010.
but here's the point that I'm driving at is there seems to be a recurring theme, and honestly, a lot of that was before I started paying attention to the local politics in Bossier here in full disclosure. I mean, I was not plugged into that back during that time. It just seems to me that it's a recurring theme. This is like over and over and over and over. Why are we still having this discussion? Why are they still having this discussion?
Yeah, well, the point is, and the bottom line, and folks can they can say what they want to say that they value public safety, but I'm just telling you, it's my belief that they haven't valued public safety. They haven't all
No, they
along,
don't. They
and
don't.
it's lip service. And if it was anything other than lip service, you would have been maintaining the pay for public safety. If it was a priority of yours, you would have been paying attention to it for years. You wouldn't have, it would be one thing if you've letting this disparity get to where it is one time. But to me, I can look back through all of these articles and y'all should know nobody sent me these articles. I have every Bossier Press Tribune from all I have to do is just go digging. I saved them all for all those years. So all your quotes, Councilman Montgomery, all those I have all of those. All I have to do is just go find them. If there's a gem you want me to pick out, by all means tell me the date, I'll go get it. But I went back because I remembered this. This isn't today is not, all of you public safety guys, today is not the first time. This is actually the same roller coaster ride in my memory. This is about the third or fourth roller coaster ride, and it's the same ride every time. It's
Same
it,
song,
you
50th
just
verse, could get better, but it's going to get worse, apparently.
you're just getting in a different car, taking it
Wow.
the same way. I mean, and so if you expect something different, you're going to have to do something different because these guys are not going to do anything different. They're going to keep playing the game the same way over and over and over again.
I can't disagree with that, and the actions of the city council don't disagree with you either. All right, Mr. Lowry, we are at 2 hours and 57 minutes. We still have about 90 people watching. Yeah, Cindy Carroll says, I would almost bet the $500 he wants to give them now is probably just giving the police back the $500 they took away a few years back. Just like shuffling peanuts around on the table. All right. What else, Mr.
Interesting.
Lowry?
Got some sleuths out there. I've got people
Oh.
sending me pictures of articles. It looks like from the Times. I didn't keep those. So, to
Oh.
those of you sending them to me, just so you know, I didn't subscribe to that liberal. Anyway, we'll leave that there. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to be rude.
We appreciate everybody that sends us information. We've been getting a few here and there on Proton Mail, and like Duke said, he's got some newspaper articles coming in, so we appreciate all that. We appreciate everybody watching. I mean, we're still at about 90 people at nearly the 3-hour mark, so that's saying that at least y'all are engaged, and typically, within a couple of days, our videos go to several thousand views across all platforms. We're we're well north of 7,000 followers just on Facebook alone. So that's a testament to people around Bossier are interested in the political goings on of Bossier, and that is always a good thing.
It is, and so I guess until the next time, that is all I have. And hey, just like Rex said, Proton Mail is your friend. You got
Yes.
any information, send it our way. We're not afraid to put it out there, and we just want good government. We want our politicians. If you mess up, just say you messed up, and just say it like it is. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's it. And like the Colonel says, like us on Facebook, subscribe, go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe on the YouTube channel, and look, I'll throw this out there again, and we mean this sincerely. If somebody else wants to start a live stream show or podcast, whatever, reach out to us. Hey, we'll help you get started. Whether you're left-leaning liberal or right-leaning conservative or somewhere in between, more voices and more people paying attention is always a better thing.
Yep. This is the future of media, and not us, but just this method of getting information out and sharing it and talking. This is the way it's going forward. The mainstream media has lost that mantle. That's a fact.
That was proven time and time again during the recent presidential campaign. I think you're 100% right, Mr. Lowry. And with that, thanks everybody for watching. I'm about to hit the finish button. Last words, Mr. Lowry.
Have a good night.